Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, he's back. It's my co-host Tom. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hello, friends.
10 years strong and growing, Tom. That's right. Here we are. Okay.
Wait,
Uh,
it's really not 10 years strong and growing. You know that, right?
no, I'm talking about our friendship. I mean, we've known each other
Oh,
for 27 years, but I've only been friends with you for 10.
Oh, right, that other thing.
See how you walked right into that? Got him! Also joining us on the show, the truly one of the greatest people, my own personal hero, one of the nicest man in Warhammer, and a person I'm very glad to have back on the show. It's 2 Plus Tough. It's Doug. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, everybody. Hey, thanks for having me on. Really excited to be back. Talk about Spearhead.
One of my favorite things to do when Doug is on the show is like give Doug a bunch of compliments that he completely and totally deserves, and then watch his face as he reacts because you don't like it.
It's very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah,
No.
I know.
No.
And I am a
My
terrible
wife does the
person.
same thing to me, though. It's quite fun.
there
I
you
squirm.
I mean, if I can make people uncomfortable with kindness, that feels like a real win for me. I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's really serving all of my sort of goals. But anyways, tonight we're going to talk about Spearhead. We're going to give the full rundown of this new game mode,
Yes.
our opinions on it, that kind of thing. Doug and I have both gotten to play Spearhead, so we're going to talk to you about what that is and that experience and stuff like that. But of course, first, the news. Tom, what do you got?
Yeah, dude.
how about we... Yeah, sorry, we don't do edits here. How about we do that rumor engine?
Absolutely.
I-
Boom. It's a
I-
torch. Okay.
I'm
Yeah, I
excited
stopped
about
looking
this
at these when they introduced. I think when Necromunda came out, I stopped caring because I was like, this could be for a million things.
Right. Right. Exactly. Necromunda
You're not
ruins the
wrong.
curve because, like,
Yes.
unless it's actually a chainsaw or something,
hmm
like a full active 40k chainsaw with hazard stripes. Like,
Yes,
basically
exactly.
anything in Necromunda could also be an AOS and vice versa. So it's just makes it impossible. Yeah, it's a torch. Okay. Cool.
It's clearly something Cities of Sigmar. I'm going to call that. I'm
Okay.
going to hope that it's something Order of AZ or Witch Hunter-ish. That's what I'm
Ooh.
hoping for.
That'd be red.
Seems reasonable. I
At the very least, it's Fanatics, but let's at least hope that it's something fun like a Witch Hunter unit.
Sure. Right. Fine. Great. A plus. I'll take it. I just want to give a shout out to the sculptor. They're doing a lot better job with like fire and smoke recently. And like this little sitch here where the fire like breaks and then restarts on this line, this top line of the sculpt. That's really nice. That's really
It
nice.
stuck out to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just really good.
more
See, the old
dynamic.
flames they would do would be just like a little puddle, little triangle of Play-Doh, basically. If you look at like speaking of flagellants and stuff, a bunch of them have flames, right? If you look at those, but yeah, this is really good. Just really nice.
I'm just going to pause us before we go on. Doug, do you hear Vince cutting in and out like a driver's failing or something?
It is like a click almost,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Weird.
Yep. So, like this video if Vince's audio is messed up.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm looking to see what could possibly be causing that, but that's
I'm
fine.
just
I
saying.
don't.
It's like a weird clicky, like if
Oh.
you have the wrong.
If you tighten
audio
something, it
driver.
worked.
No, that's fine. Okay. It's normal right now?
Yeah.
All right.
No.
How about all of you out there? Am I weird and clicky? Tell me, everybody, if I have weird clickiness for everyone out there. Put it in the comments, and I'll try to mess with it on the side. Anyways, Tom, continue. Next news item.
Of course. We had Abraxia and the Dawnbringers Book 6 go on pre-order. So one of the shortest lived books of all time.
Yep.
Definitely hitting the market. So that'll be exciting for some people. I mean, let's be honest. I saw people complaining about this on Twitter, and I'm going to buy it. Like, I want my bookshelf complete, right? Like, I want the book. Like, is anybody else of that mindset? Like, I bought the other Dawnbringers.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's weird to have like.
I'm not much of a collector in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
but I understand it. I do, especially when there's like a volume missing.
Right? Like did you buy prior Dawnbringer books?
Right.
Do you care about how the story arc ends? I mean, probably not for most people, but it's a legitimate question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think I just randomly have books 3 and 5.
Sure.
That's fair.
If you're a collector and you want them all, sure. But otherwise, no, there is no reason to buy this. The rules are out of date immediately. The story, you can just come back next week because we'll talk about this book and I'll do story time. By the way, I'm not going to talk. I brought up Abraxia's scroll. I literally do not care about this scroll. I didn't read it. I don't know what's on the page that's on my screen right now. Okay?
Because it's not real.
Because it's not real. It doesn't matter. Like, what matters is whatever scroll is in the index. Okay?
Yes.
Right.
Schrodinger's units. Yes, all these guys.
Yeah.
So, like, I literally... If you're someone who happens to be playing in a tournament and can get this model assembled and painted in between now, like when it comes out 2 weeks from now, I guess, and when 4th edition launches, like, more power to you, okay? It's great. I agree. Izzy said, I can't wait to find out what Abraxia's spear does. I'm with you. What does that spear do? It's crazy. So, like, but you know, like, I just literally don't care about any 3rd edition rules anymore. It's Kathy said Abraxia sounds like an ailment. My dear, I think I'm going to disagree with you only slightly to say that Abraxia sounds like the treatment to the ailment. Like, ask your doctor if Abraxia is right for you. Abraxia has been known to cause certain side effects, random mutations, headaches,
But is it
drowsiness.
Abraxo is the cleaner, like the
powers.
household cleaner in Fallout.
Yeah, sure. But anyways, like, it's a perfectly... The model's great. I mean, I said that originally. Mm-hmm. I think the model's awesome.
Yep.
Like, okay, cool stuff.
I'm interested in these books. Like, the reason I like looking back on them, if I own them already, is like sometimes they'll do interesting like campaign systems,
sure,
stuff like that. So those are cool to lift if you're someone who collects those kinds of ideas, which is normally what I keep books for.
Yeah, it's so funny because I don't buy all the battle tomes, right?
Sure, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I always buy all the campaign books. Like, it is the weirdest thing, because I know like the rules in them aren't perennial, but actually any narrative advancement that we normally get is actually happening in those books, not in battle tomes. Right. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should never buy any campaign books ever again. I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, you and I are both collectors. We like to own this stuff just because we're dragons and we like to have a horde and then like paw it and just be like, yes, these are all my preciouses. I was literally reading my complete guide to necromancers last night from 2nd edition D&D. Okay,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so funny. I took a break from painting and I just stood in front of my D&D bookcases and looked at the bindings, right? Because I was like, and I could just tell like which books I had picked up secondary market and which books were the originals that I had played with in the 90s.
Yeah,
based on the creasing, and I was like,
of course,
yep.
I still have my DMG, my original, 2nd edition DMG that I left out in a tent overnight with my buddy, and it got dew on it and got all wet. And then my friend's mom was nice enough to sit there and go through it with a hairdryer page by page because I couldn't afford to buy another DMG. But anyways, yeah, it's fine. I still have it to this day. There you go.
There you go.
So thank you, Chad's mom. You were very nice. I don't know if you're still alive. You might not be. But at any rate, like all these rules, there's more, by the way. This is Abraxia scroll. There's also the rules in here for the Nexus Chaotica, which is like the new STD
I don't know
terrain.
What that thing is.
Like, it's a cool piece of terrain. It looks awesome.
Is
that actually going to be STD terrain though?
Yeah, it's STD
like in the new
terrain,
edition. Yes. Like, so it'll actually be full faction terrain in the new edition.
Assumingly, it says up here only S2D armies can include this faction terrain feature. So I assume.
I thought it was like a story piece.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that we're suddenly getting a faction terrain piece now. It was one of the things I enjoyed about S2D, that they didn't have faction terrain pieces. But hey, here we are.
Well, I know I'm going to buy one right away for fear of it being sold out and never being able to get my hands on it again. So I need to put it on pre-order. Like clearly,
yes,
like,
exactly. Yeah, I'll take 4.
Yeah. And then there's rules for like the Regiment of Renown or whatever. And like all fine, who cares? Great stuff. Moving on. Let's next. Yeah.
Indeed. So we got our faction focus. So this week begins began the long march through all the AOS armies.
Yes.
Where 24 AOS armies are going to be considered, with faction focuses for each. This week was the announcement page, and then we got Stormcast, and then Skaven.
Who's last? You've the first 2 were already set. Okay, it was going to be Stormcast and Skaven always, because those are in the launch box. So obviously that just it's the most sensible tie-in to make these the first 2. Okay, but if they do one a day, somebody's last. Who's
I
last?
have 2 guesses.
Okay,
I have 2 guesses. Doug, I want to hear your guess first.
What's your guess, Doug?
Oh, Flesh Eater Courts.
Okay,
because everything is just copy paste. It's already written, like a large part of it is 1-to-1 with 4th in mind. All right. That's what I thought.
Okay, that's a pretty good one. Mine is either a new army.
Okay.
Because I think that like when you do the actual like head count for 24, like things don't add up. So it could be that, or a reshuffling. We could talk about that because I don't think it's going to be any of the compendium armies, right? Like so the 24 can't count beasts. The 24 can't count. You know, like so it's something. Or it's Fire Slayers.
Sure. Yeah. It should be Slanesh. Let me just say that, because you should have to edge all the way till the end to get the Slanesh rules.
Oh,
that would be the most thematically appropriate. Okay.
That would be amazing.
But I suspect.
Where was the number 24 written? Was that in an article as well? Like,
I think
we're
they
gonna
said
have 24
faction focuses.
Yeah, they said there was going to be 24 faction focuses.
I'm dubious of anything I see on the community page. If I'm honest with you,
that checks out.
Yeah.
That checks out.
But like, I put your guesses. A lot of people saying Suns. I don't know. I mean, I think you got to put Suns somewhere in the middle. Just because it'd be too weird to be at the end, because it's such a distinctly unique army.
I agree.
You got it. Like if you drop it last, then everybody will talk about it. And you're trying to hide. You're trying to sneak Suns in the middle. You need other things on both sides of it. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Jared said, "Sorry, I am lost. What's the big deal with 24? I mean, nothing. There's 24 different armies in AOS. Well, what's the big deal? I just want to know who is last. Who has to wait until the last day? Who's the person who's like, I'm the biggest fan of X. I just want my faction focus. And
you are the least
until the last day.
So the point being, there are 24, by the way, with Beast of Chaos.
No, you just split Iron Jaws and Cruel Boys.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
The assumption is that they're probably going to split Iron Jaws and Cruel Boys back out. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Like that's
sure. There's no big one anymore for sure. I mean, that as a concept is definitely dead. Like I don't know, but I'm just saying. Yes, 100%. Kill that. Kill it with fire. Like they don't want soupy stuff because soupy stuff is hard to balance. They're on like a mission to destroy soupy stuff.
Right.
They don't even like stuff that they've been making for years.
Right. Yeah. Got them.
Okay. I could see that. I just as long as they both have a very distinct play style and stuff like that, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, like one is kind of a brutal, and the other being brutal but kind of right. Like they're leaning into the both sides of
theoretically. All right. So let's talk about what's in this faction focus. Stormcast Eternals.
Yep.
So blah blah blah. Storm Incarnate. This is who Stormcast are. How do you not know this yet? Okay, great. Who cares? Let's get down here. We got our battle traits. You got a deployment phase ability. You got a deployment phase. It's a deployment phase, everybody. A deployment phase ability to place the Stormcast Eternals into the Celestial Realm. Yeah, so classic thing you always had. And then you've got the Scions of the Storm to bring them back down. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Fine. Great. And then you've got the Heaven Sent Pick a friendly, non-unique Stormcast Eternals infantry or cavalry unit at the start of the battle with 2 or more models that has been destroyed to be the target. You get to set up a replacement unit with half the number of models, rounding up more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Cool. Fine. So once per battle, your movement phase, 1 command point, you get to call back half a unit. Cool.
Yep.
And then you have your finest hour. They're the ones who get they're fine. They get best day ever. Nobody else anymore. Just Stormcast. Only Stormcast can have the best day ever now. So there you go. That's fine. All right, all fine. We got our battle formations, which they don't go completely into, but they talk about. But they show you the one for the Ruination Chamber. I'm sure Sentinels of the Bleak Citadels. Once per turn, any hero phase, you get to give a unit a 5 upward. Okay, it's cool for Ruination Chamber people.
Vince, what are your thoughts on the potential change or the potential suggestion that deploying off table cut into your drops based on the wording?
You're talking about like how it works with your drops versus your everything else.
Yeah.
I don't know that it does or doesn't.
Because everything was 1 drop, right? Like if you're in a battalion or whatever, it's 1 drop.
Yeah.
So the question is the regiments. The question being potentially the idea that the way that it's worded could suggest that like to deploy in the celestial realm, right, isn't like it pulls that thing out of the 1 drop.
I mean, not necessarily. It depends on it depends on how the deployment phase abilities are all worded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also if you have 1 regiment of 5 dudes on the table, or 4 dudes or whatever it is, and then another set of 4 that's coming in from the sky, at that moment of making decision, you can put all 4 in the sky at once, right? Because you still have more guys on the table.
Theoretically, I mean, again, I don't like because you're doing it unit by unit, but like theoretically, there's no reason you couldn't use the ability 3 times in a row because you'd satisfy the declare criteria every time, right? So you could just put the whole regiment in there, like you said. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But I thought,
like again,
so
it has to do with the exact
something
wording.
to watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
My answer is until I see the exact wording of the deployment phase. Who knows, right?
Yeah. And then if even then, it may be an FAQ.
Yeah, sure. Completely fair. We get a little sample not prayer, sorry. Spell here. No, sorry, prayer. This is a prayer. I apologize.
Yeah.
Your blessed weapons prayer. Pick a priest. Chant the prayer. Infantry only. Add 1 to the attack's characteristics entirely like melee weapons till the start of your next turn. If the chanting roll was 12 plus. 12 plus. This ability affects all visible friendly Stormcast Eternals wholly within 12 of the chanter. Woof.
I do not know if that's worth it.
I mean, it's a heck of a prayer, but I hope you have some abilities to gain some bonuses to your chanting or I mean, at least with prayers you always get the rebate. Like as long as you don't roll the 1, you sock away the points or whatever. So it's like.
Or I just want the priest to be really good at killing too. But get him up there. That's fine. I'll take that.
Sure. Okay. Ritual points and empower a key unit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
You're still very likely still on turn like 2 or 3 to fire that off.
Yep.
Like wishing and hoping for 12. Sorry. Not worth it.
Remember, you can. I don't know about that. Again, I'm definitely not going to say worth it or not worth it on anything because until you see the whole puzzle, I don't know.
We just don't
Remember,
know.
you can pray off turn as well for a CP, which is another chance to get more.
Okay, no, that's true.
You got to think about. I'm going to tell you right now. You got to start thinking about. Like I've been thinking about the rules for 4 and how it isn't structured in my mind. And my best advice to you is you need to really throw out the way you think about the game. Because AOS 4 on the top reads a lot of the same, but as I was thinking about it and the implications, like every battle tactic is completely different in how achievable it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of the counter charges and stuff like
because
that.
Of counter charges, counter spelling, counter praying, counter moving. Like there's so many things that are going to mess with your ability to do your tactics to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Right?
Yep.
And so like a savvy opponent is going to play much more like a blue mage. and just be countering what, like, they're not going to use their abilities. They're not going to use their abilities to all out attack. What a waste. What a waste. Okay. Like, that's for red deck wins nonsense. No. My command points are for counter spells only. Right? That's it. You pick, I kill that unit, I cast a defensive spell on that unit, and then I redeploy that unit, and then I countercharge some other unit in there to save them with strikes first. There's my 4 CP. Right? So, like, that's, you know, there you go. At any rate,
and it really wants to push you to go second in order to have them, like, for you to have your
sure
your CP in hand, right?
Yeah, and right. I agree with Gareth, by the way, who said corn players have been practicing for 4th for years. Yeah, I mean, totally. Like, Murderlust is the ultimate blue mage counterspell. Dumbest thing ever that it's in the corn army, but it exists, so here we are. All the corn Johnnies, which have come out, like, basically Corn managed to shed all the Timmy players, and so now it's only Johnnies who revel in this left. Okay. All right, big Krondus. I love Krondus. I've taken Krondus to a tournament. So let's look at this big bad boy here. 20 health, 3-up safe, 12-inch fly. He's got his breath weapon, shoots in combat, only 1 attack. So it does nothing, but cool story. He's got his perfectly average Apex Maw, 4 attacks, 3s, 2s, 2 rend, 4 damage. +1 rend against infantry, 3 rend against infantry. That is fun. But again, it's only 4 attacks. It's okay. It's not bad. I just know even on 3s and 2s what I'm likely to roll. He does get +2 to casting, so he is still like a heck of a spellcaster, which is awesome. And he is Wizard 2. Yep, Wizard 2. His Rampage is pretty darn good, where he can roll a die, and on a 3-up, the target cannot use commands for the rest of the turn. Pretty solid. No all-out defense, obviously, so that rend is higher value. And he's still got his Atavistic Tempest, which casts on an 8, which can, of course, -1 somebody's rend or -1 somebody's save, so he can effectively be rend 5 against infantry, if you want to think about it that way. 2 base, 1 for anti-infantry, 1 for the Rampage, 1 for Flash Freezing Blizzard. So, the sort of mathematical equivalent of Rend 5. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good. That'll probably get there. Not many people are going to have armor saves anymore against Krondus.
Now,
so pretty cool.
Now I want to know what Karzai looks like.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. What does his actual melee brother look like?
Yeah.
What both of them together look like.
Yep.
Sure. They probably look like more than half your army.
Details. I mean, maybe. Like, it feels like he's been toned down from where he was.
Sure. I mean, everybody is, right? To some degree.
Right.
I mean, I think they said that openly in, like, some article or whatever. They were like, if things look different or weaker, just chill. Just chill. Everybody chill.
Right.
Everybody be cool.
Yes. That was the article from last week. And it was like, well, I'm glad that they printed that. Like, it's so funny that they had to, like, name that.
Yeah.
Like, your stuff, or no, I guess that was this week when they're like, hey, we're going to begin revealing stuff for the armies.
Yep.
Don't worry. Things are going to look different. Yeah.
Branu says, is that solid? There's no phase after combat, so the roar effect part of the combat phase might not be great. Branu, it's super great. It's super great. First of all, roar, the old Monstrous Rampage that shut off commands, was the best command, and he has it. Or the best Monstrous Rampage, and he has it. So he literally has what was the best Monstrous Rampage for all of 3rd, and all roar did was shut off all-out defense, basically. Right? So, number 1. Number 2, remember, things like Power Through exist.
Yep.
Okay? Like, there are other end-of-phase things that are going to be happening. Yet another one that is like a crazy blue mage ability that people just are sleeping on. So, at any rate, there you go. Okay. Cool. All right. Yndrasta.
I do think the value will increase the more we start to see army-specific reactions and stuff like that. And so I'm very excited for that.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And by the way, still no ward save. So, he's just a big pile of wounds on a 3-up save. The classic limitation. He's still there, still with the same weakness.
He can find his day ever though, right?
He's a Stormcast. Yeah, he is Stormcast Eternals. So yes, he can best day ever.
Feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yndrasta. Doug, I want your thoughts on Yndrasta. I was always sad about Yndrasta. She's obviously in one of the Spearheads. They talked about that one because it's the one that where like Yndrasta and the Annihilators show up late.
Yeah.
She was like the coolest, most beautiful model that was the most depressing on the table. But then I looked at this and I was like, never mind, we're back, baby.
I love Yndrasta because she kind of feels like my ideal tier of an infantry hero, like the 8 health, like right on that threshold of like something bigger but not quite.
Yep.
So let's see. Oh, she could still throw the spear. For some reason I looked at it earlier and I didn't see the ranged version. I was like, what do you mean she can't throw the dang thing?
Now it is a 1 attack. So like let's temper expectations, but
it'll never hit.
Of course.
But it's 8 damage against monsters. So.
Yes. Yes.
So
that is pretty good. Pretty good.
You know, if they were trying to express her as a huntress, I think they did a far better job with this iteration than the current one. Because she looks like she wants to pointedly go after big things in a way that she just doesn't. I don't know.
No, she's
good.
To put bodies back on the table.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it's interesting to me.
I love this.
Here's
Go
the test.
ahead. Okay.
Here's the test. Do you all out assault her?
Do you? Oh, you mean when you shoot? So she's on 2s and 2s?
Yeah. So she's on 2s and 2s.
What's your target? What are you shooting at? What's the point? Like,
a mega.
Did you call a battle tactic to kill that thing? You know, sure, like whatever.
Yeah.
I would say generally no, because I know that I'm going to be heartbroken when I roll one of those ones, and it'll just hurt worse if I spend a CP to do it.
Right.
But what if you roll a 2? How hard is that going to hurt if you roll a 2 to hit?
That's fair.
Sure, no, I hear you. People are asking, is the Prime Huntress both shooting and melee because it's red coded? Yes, it is. It's a passive ability. Red coded abilities are attack abilities, so it is both combat and shooting phase have red.
Yep. Yeah, the 3 dice charge, anything that lets you. I am somebody like all about charges. Any charge distance modifiers I love. Her being able to like reach out and pin something down or snipe something out is just huge.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, she's against. I mean, like she's obviously has a very defined role, just crushing monsters, right? With an 8 damage throw at Rend 3, right, and then Thengar in combat with hitting for 6 damage with Rend 3. You know, 2 attacks on 2s and 2s, and that's without any other buffs happening, right?
She's like, "Hi, Mr. Velocita, how's it going?"
Yeah.
Right. Like, she is going to straight lift monsters.
Yep. Well, in a theme that this and the dragon had, Krondus, is to that point that was in the comments, it's about dealing with threats before they become an issue. So you shut down CP reactions before your army's backbreaking reaction ability goes off and they destroy everything. With the dragon, in this case, it's like she's going to get to whatever she wants and she's going to hurt it, like, which is awesome. You're trying to neutralize those threats really quickly.
Yeah, red isn't combat phase only, Branu. Like, I'm gonna have to give you a trust me, bro, on this one, but I'm like literally 100% sure of this, that it applies to both. So there we go. But at any rate, I mean, Thrips A 5-up ward, she's sweet. I love it. Like, she's gonna cost some egregious number of points, I'm sure. Like, she's not gonna be cheap with this kind of a stat profile, but I don't care. Like, I actually like her being this tough. Like, 3-up, 5-up, that's nice and tough. She's good.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was in the 250 to 300 range, right?
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, somewhere in that range, probably.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows? But like, probably.
Especially if she can bring in, like, with her whatever her coterie that she's allowed access to, some really cool units as well that can fly. That's also another
Yeah, like
balancing
what's her
mechanism,
regiment
right?
that she allows because she's a hero. So
Yeah.
like, who can she bring in? That's always the other question with these heroes that we don't think about right now, but it's something we need to think about for the future, right? Is like, what's that hero allow, open up, bring in with it, right? Because like I think a lot of what heroes, what's going to be the benefit of heroes is going to be a question of like, what else do they open up? What do they allow in their regiment, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
And
Clack, I agree.
as noted, she is a War Master.
She is a War Master, yes. So she will become your general. Okay. Basic Knight Arcanum. I always hated this mask. Doug, do you like this mask on the Knight Arcanum? The like blank sort of porcelain face mask?
I like the idea of it. I didn't like their execution. Like I love the mouthless kind of like silenced look. It's kind of creepy. Not the designs at top. Never got into it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been never appealed to me. I love this fig. This is a fig I use actually in my Ratcast. One of my Skaven is this figure. But I switched to the staff top and I switched obviously the head. Duh. But like actual figure wise, I think it's great. And then I have a tail sticking out of the back, of course. Come on now.
Yes.
I also cut off
I'm so
this
excited
thing and put on a halo.
Okay. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I was saying, I'm so excited for heroes like this though, who I don't know, for as much anguish as there was as trimming the Stormcast book, I'm excited for their heroes to matter again.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if this does it. I mean, we'll have to see once.
No, I know. I want to see more.
Yeah, like once everything's
but I'm happy to see that they're at least like spotlighting some of these characters rather than like just the dragon or whatever.
What I would say is this: it's cute, but and I don't know the full rules around, like manifestations.
Yep.
But a 5-inch move foot hero chasing manifestations with no ranged attacks to remove that stuff seems like a losing proposition.
I disagree completely. I think this thing is awesome. Okay.
Do you really?
I really do.
Do you really?
Yeah. 100%. I think she's awesome.
Are you imagining that it being in like a castle and when an enemy sends a manifestation in that she is your countercharge to the manifestation?
No. I'm assuming simply that every army you fight forever in 4th edition is going to be summoning manifestations. Period.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Including yours. And having somebody who's got a built-in +1 to cast for your own summons is actually really nice because my particular guess is casting bonuses will not be that common. So most of the time you are just rolling 2d6 at the hard number. So actually getting +1 is huge, especially since some of the manifestations will probably have some decent cast numbers on them, right? And like when you have let's say the average is a 7 in some of the groupings, okay? Turning that from rolling a 7 to rolling a 6 is mathematically extremely significant, right?
Of course.
And the flip is true for the banishment. The fact that you can knock theirs out easier, okay, by having the extra +1 is also potent. The fact that you can unleash spell, right, off turn, and counter the negative and unleash a spell on their turn, like boom, put something in their way. Again, blue mage counterspell crap. Like, oh, you were going to go to this location? Well, now there's an endless spell in the way.
Yeah, maybe is what I'll say. Like, I could actually see some really interesting play if you play her forward because the manifestations can't end within 3.
Yeah, see, that's what stuck out to me too. Cool. Yeah, like I looked at that as her like crown ability is that she's a null zone, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, also totally cool.
Like, what it means is that she can't be charged by manifestations ever.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
It actually makes her a really interesting front line if you think that people are going to hurl manifestations into your line. Yeah. That's why I'm saying. I think this girl is doing a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
I just think the world where I am not excited about the world we're about to live in that regard. One of the things I am least excited about for 4th ed. I'm very excited about 4th edition as a whole. But the thing I am least excited about is that every table is going to get flooded with manifestations every game. Period.
Maybe. is what I would say. Maybe.
They're free. You have people who cast spells. You will cast them. Because think of how many times you've been out of range for most of your offensive spells. Now shrink everybody's spell lore down to 3 things, one of which is probably a buff on average.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I got 2 more spell casts and no more spells to cast. So, woohoo! Let's go, baby.
Yeah, but I
roll
can
these
imagine
things
a
out
world
there.
where, for a lot of your armies that are more mobile or like needing that movement, they're going to be using the movement ones, and you're not going to be like you're not going to toots like Bodhi across the table.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going to bridge like all of those movement oriented things. Like this, she doesn't do a lot against those.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Agreed.
So but what I'm saying is, so even in taking her, you're gambling. Like, yes, there are going to be manifestations, but she may or may not be able to have counterplay. And is she worth the gamble in light of the other units that are in the army and how many points you have in Stormcast? And I don't know. But historically, when we built for corner cases, it was always the wrong decision.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think this is a corner case. I'm saying I think this is the majority case.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
That's an interesting position because we haven't had anything quite the same, right?
Yeah. No, I mean,
like something going from being a side case to a completely ubiquitous option.
Right. Yeah, and I really think that's the world we're going to live in. It's just manifestations running wild.
And if it is, like if that truly is the world that we're living in, I wonder what they're going to do with armies that don't have manifestations or don't have access to manifestations.
Who doesn't?
Sorry about your luck.
Okay.
I mean, people who don't have any spellcasters, Suns would be an example. I see what you're saying. Right? KO
like
would
Suns,
be an example.
KO, like I'm sure that there are others, but it just strikes me like Khorne at least has invocations, right? That are their prayers that are manifestations. Yeah, I don't know.
Tom, if they came out with a set of KO ones that functioned exactly the same, but they were like torpedoes that you got to like direct at people, would that be like you in for that?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, like I also like to be very clear. For those that remember, I made a set of warp lightning vortexes that look like bombs. So yeah, I'm probably in for it. Like
there we go. That's right. I forgot most of your stuff was heavily converted. So you're not necessarily looking for a.
Yeah, I'll work it out.
All right, let's talk shield annihilators here. Obviously, being I like that they have this. Again, this is a chance to really clearly define their role as a sort of like pseudo anvil. 3 health, 2 up save. Still got that fat 2 up save. You love to see it. And any charge phase, pick an enemy unit that charged this turn and is in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice for each model in this unit. If any of the rolls are a 6, that target has strike last for the rest of the turn. So very fun effect. So you charge these guys, you run the risk of striking last. And then your movement phase, blazing impact, they still have the thing where if they pop down, they get to pop out some mortals. So it's cool. Okay. Fine. Simple.
Yeah. Do they have anything like the brace for impact right now?
Yeah, they have. Brace for impact? No, they don't.
Yeah.
This is
I don't
more,
remember
sorry,
that
I was thinking
defensive thing.
Yeah. And I really like it. I think, again, one of the things I'm most excited about, to flip over from the manifestation negative talk to the happy talk, is I really like role definitions in things where it's like, this is... Because then it challenges you to use that piece correctly. Just because it says this is the thing that's supposed to get charged, that doesn't mean your enemy is going to oblige you, right? So that's a skill test there for you to have that piece in the correct position, make it so your enemy doesn't have much of a choice except to charge that thing and to accomplish their objectives and so on and so forth, right? So I like that kind of stuff. I think that's actually a really good skill test. So.
Okay. Ben has an awesome question.
Okay.
Can I countercharge them into a unit that has charged something else to give it strike last? Because the rules is written as you pick an enemy that charged this turn, not necessarily these guys. That's a fun idea.
Yes, you can. We saw another one of the abilities that said the declare was like if this unit didn't charge, and they are in combat with a unit that did charge or something, right? Like, so we saw the full wording where that's the case. But with these guys, yeah, you can absolutely countercharge them in, because there's no prohibition against using it if they charge. 100%.
I learn by doing, and I feel like I'm going to have a excruciating time finding all the ways that countercharge can be used against me in fourth.
Yeah.
And I am just bracing for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yes. Okay. And then finally, the little word from the studio, the Spearhead spotlight. That's fine. We've got some Spearhead stuff. We might come back to this. I'm going to actually save this part for when we come back to when we do our Spearhead discussion later on.
Good call.
All right. Skaven. We're still in news. This is still news, by the way, everybody. Yep. We're still here.
Yep. Lots of news.
So much news. Children of the Great Horned Rat. I mean, I don't understand. We put this out on day 2. What do we need the other ones for? I mean, I guess we should do a Slanesh and an Ironjawz one, and then we can just shut it down. Like, who else? Whatever. Do the rest even matter? Who cares?
Outrageous.
We have the greatest piece of art that they've done so far out of the studio in years. This piece of art is incredible, of what Skaven Blight looks like here. I love these weirdos just working on a random pipe. Like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah. Municipal crew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They need, like, the orange vests, right?
Yes.
They're just out there like, Sector 37B, there's a warp flow pipe that's backed up. Can you go give that a look? Sure, I'll get Tom and his big pot of weird green goo to come help me out, you know? And the guy with the
Hellpit Abomination falls out,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. This guy, that is a heck of a balancing act. But anyways, yeah, it's an awesome piece of art. Okay, so obviously the big deal that happened here is Skaven Blight burst up into the Mortal Realms and blah, 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 and all of that. Super metal, super cool. There's the stuff that comes in the box. We know that. Yada, yada. Cool piece of art. Okay, battle traits. Here we go. All right, so what are we doing as Skaven? Well, we can also set up in the Celestial Realm, it turns out.
Weird.
Only it's in the tunnels below.
No, it's called the tunnels below.
Mm-hmm. Every army that gets into a launch box with Stormcast has to get or have some kind of deploy and reserve thing.
The Tunnelestrian Realm. There we go. Well, there's something there. There's a pun there.
Tunnelestrian Realm. I think you got it. Yeah, exactly.
Or cover themselves in mud.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's their equivalent. So the and then in your movement phase, the difference here is when you pick your Skaven in the tunnels below, you set them up wholly within 6 inches of a gnaw hole and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. More on gnaw holes later. Okay. And then you've got the Splinters of the Vermin Doom. You can use this ability if there are fewer than 3 friendly gnaw holes on the battlefield. Effect, set up a gnaw hole on the battlefield more than 9 inches from enemy units, 1 inch from friendly units, and 3 inches from all objectives and other terrain features. So these are Sylvaneth Wild. They're Sylvaneth Wild holes now. Okay.
Indeed.
I was told that because you can set them up and theoretically, of course, like block with them, right? Like, I mean, they're a pretty big thing. Yep. And we'll I think they have the scroll in here, but anyways, you can like theoretically put them in the way of things to like block up space, but they are just like a thing that can be destroyed because they're faction terrain. I was told to say the following, that everybody will play the game playing Whack-A-Hole. So there you go. There you go, Gareth.
I like that.
Okay. And then 2 quick to hit. No mortal damage is inflicted on friendly Skaven infantry and cavalry units by retreat abilities. This is a very good thing. This is a very good thing.
Yep.
I think people are sleeping on that D3 mortal wounds. I really do. And being able to ignore it is awesome. Though sadly your monsters can't. So like your big, which I like kind of hate. I suppose I understand the Hell Pit not being too quick, but are you telling me like the Eshin Verminlord isn't able to just be like, I'm out, dog?
Well, he may have his own rule.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
like he may have his own thing. Right?
I hope so.
I would like it if the heroes could like sneak in a attack or something like that. Maybe they flip it when they retreat. They could have a chance to shiv somebody they're hurting. So it would require its own wording. I don't know.
Yeah. Jarrett Dooker said, too quick to hit, red, underwhelming. How is this good? Help a bad player. It's very good because all of your things can be retreating all of the time. And so if you have any other abilities that say like you can retreat and charge or just like that, you don't chew up your own units and take mortal wounds. Specifically, it means that your characters who probably have some kind of ability to skate out of combat, like by retreating in an easy way or in an orthodox way, don't take mortal wounds on the way out. And that's going to be the thing that actually kills people. Your 5 wound hero retreating from combat and taking a D3 mortals is bad, especially if they're already wounded, where they will retreat and just kill themselves. So there you go. And then always 3 claw steps ahead. Certainly the most powerful ability on here. Once per turn, army enemy hero phase. Pick a friendly, non-monster Skaven unit that is not in combat and was not set up to use this ability. That unit can use the normal move ability as if it were your movement phase. That is liquid hot sex right there. That is incredible. Okay, I don't know what else to say. It's amazing. Like, that's amazing.
Because then you can yeet someone to wherever they need to be, right? Basically.
I mean, yeah.
Or get like them the hell out of Dodge. Like, after a battle tactic has been declared. He's like, nope, peace out. You're not killing me.
That's a good point.
You could sit... I'll give you a couple fun examples of this. What you could do with this, right? Okay. Here we go. Let's say there's a battle tactic that says, go to this place and be there and have no enemy within X inches of you. Okay? So they move a unit to that place that isn't going to fight. Like, it's not a fighting unit. They move like a chaff unit to that place and you're not anywhere near it. Right? Okay. And then, or like they call the battle tactic and it's obvious where they're going to go. Like, they call the terrain feature or something, right? Like, you got to go to some terrain or go to some objective or something like that. And it can't have enemies near it. They haven't moved yet, obviously. It's their hero phase. But nonetheless, you know now that that's where they want to go, so you take your unit and walk it right up to it. And shut off their ability to score that battle tactic, unless they lift that
or
unit.
You walk, and then you redeploy, right?
And then you redeploy.
Like,
exactly.
Like, there's not, like, it's not just this, it's multiple phases that you can be reacting.
Let's say that you have some units sitting here and some units sitting here, okay? And they're about to charge. Or you know that's what they're going to do is, like, charge your line here. This unit comes back, this unit redeploys forward in the way.
Right.
Swip swap, right?
Okay.
That's exactly what Tom said. I'll give you another one.
Yeah, and then you can counter charge too, right? Like, there's so much off-turn movement now that it's going to be a real stinker for a lot of folks.
Let me give you a real fun one. Ready? My wizard is sitting within unbind range of your caster. Okay? Like, we're within 30 inches of each other. Let's say I'm at like 28 inches. You cast your spells. It's the hero phase, right? It's your turn. So you're the active player. So you're going to do like a bunch of stuff. Yeah? You do all your spells. I still have a spell left. Okay? I've unbound you or not. Things have happened. You've done your magic. I then 3 claw steps ahead, my wizard back 3 inches. Now I am out of your unbind range and I unleash spell in your turn. And you can't unbind me. Okay? Like, the play with this is wild. Just like one off-turn move is so powerful. So at any rate, there you go. It's just like it is a lot. So I'm excited about that one. I guess is what I'm saying. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, and we got the Flesh Meld Menagerie. Prize Creations. This is, I guess, if you take the molder thing. You know, we've seen a couple of these so far. I don't think I really like these. I don't think these lived up to the original description of these. I was really hoping that these kinds of, like, what are they called? Battle formations. I was hoping that they would be more, like, playstyle oriented. But they really still seem very limited. Like, okay, so if this is, I get one battle formation, right? Yep. So if I take this, like...
This is our sub-faction equivalent, right?
This is sub-faction
replacement.
Right.
So I'm Molder heavy, so I'm going to take this.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, like, or it's I'm Skyer heavy, so I'm going to take the artillery boosting one. Like, that's all that these are.
Yep. Yeah. And, like, my issue with them is how much...
They're linear.
Yes, exactly. Almost all the ones we've seen so far are like very linear. Like there's a limit to this because it's 3 friendly non-hero molder units, but it's like, okay, you still want to have enough molder units to get your value out of that in every turn of the game.
Right.
So assumingly you're taking like at least 4 decent molder units to actually select this thing, right? So it's very linear in what it's doing. When what I wanted and was hoping they would do was encourage you to kind of be like spread around with a particular tactic, a little bit more like mixed arms, that kind of stuff. But they are dictating list building to some degree. Yeah, you're exactly right, Justin. That's what I was hoping. Anyways, that aside, it's a cool ability. 3 friendly non-hero molder units, and then roll a die. 1 to 2, they take D3 mortals, because owies. 3 to 4, they get +1 attacks. 5 to 6, they get +1 attacks and a ward of 5 up. I'm rolling that every time. Do you really think I care if my unit of 6 rat ogres takes D3 mortal damage? No, I do not. I absolutely do not. Newsflash, I'll roll at that so hard. Let's go. 66% chance for either +1 attacks or +1 attacks and more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So that's cool. It says Pestilence, Scryer, and Verminous also have representation in the Skaven battle formations. This sentence made me very sad.
Yeah.
Who's missing?
Eshin.
The
ninjas.
Yes, I forgot.
Are they gone?
They don't have a battle formation. So. I mean, that's kind of like.
And were they in the called units?
Night Runners and Gutter Runners were, but keep in mind they still have a Vermin Lord.
Could they have just moved them down to like what is it? Verminous has sort of like a utility Skaven, like anyone can take these kind of guys.
Instead of a soldiery.
Yeah.
Verminous is more soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
traditionally Verminous is your like the
okay.
Clan Rats, Storm Vermin, Claw Lords, the martial arm.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them come back with a dramatic re-entry than keep playing with like
also
awesome
the
Reagan era gutter runners. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I think the assumption was that they were going to provide us ninja rats. And in the new sculpts, and it doesn't look like that may be happening.
That just feels
either
like
that
a
or they
war
just
cry
didn't feel
game.
like that part of the book was worth caring about, which is like sad.
Yeah, or this is just simply website copy, right? Like this is community article copy.
Right, yeah. For the same reason I don't trust anything.
Yeah. Mark said Eshin will come with the battle tome with new models. Hey, I'm here for it. That's fine. I would love it. Yeah, we know Eshin exists because yes, Lord Screech does still have his Eshin thing on there. It's not like it went away. It's just like I wish they had a thing, but whatever. Maybe sad, but cool. Okay, fine. I personally would have gotten rid of Pestilence, but at any rate, the one clan I've never liked Clan Pestilence.
They're the best.
As I said recently, I was going through my Skaven collection for an upcoming video, and I got everything out, and got a count on everything that I've got and all of that, and had to took it all out. And what am I going to keep, and what am I going to repaint, and what's going to go and be retired, and all that. Like I'm trying to make those decisions. And Pestilence is definitely the smallest contingent of what I have.
You have like a block of 20 plague monks. And,
it's like 30 plague monks, 10 censer bearers, the one throwy thing, one goop thrower.
Oh, plague claw catapult.
Yes, plague claw catapult. The smashy bell thing. I can't think of any names right now. And one plague priest.
The great censer.
The furnace. There we go. I got there.
Yeah.
I got there. I did. Look, I got there.
Yep.
Okay. At any rate, let's talk about Summon Warp Lightning Vortex. You summon it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Who cares? It's on a 7. Neat. I love how this tells you nothing, but fortunately they did give us the scroll. Okay. So, Warp Lightning Vortex. 7 health. 6 up save. If any part takes 7 health, the whole thing's removed. It's not that they each Each little pillar doesn't have 7 health, so that's fine. And then Warp Lightning Bolts. If this manifestation was not set up this turn, pick each enemy unit within 6 inches of this manifestation to be the targets. Roll a die. On a 4-up, they take D3 mortals. Okay. That's actually pretty big damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Warp Vortex, the much more powerful ability, subtract 2 from run rolls and charge rolls for enemy units while they're within 6 inches of this manifestation. In addition, if an enemy unit passes across this manifestation, inflict D3 mortal damage on that enemy unit after the move ability has been resolved.
Yep. That's a lot of board control.
Absolutely. -2 run and charge is crazy good. So, I mean, this thing's going to catch a banish or get beat to death pretty fast, but still, it's cool. I mean, that's great. Make them waste casts and attacks and stuff. I'm here for it.
Yep.
At 6 up, 6 up,
7's
and 7
not a
health.
ton
It'll go
across
fast.
that kind of front.
Okay. Cool. Unit focus. Lord Screech. 13 health. You know, I kind of hate that our monsters have to have meme health.
Yep.
Okay.
Same thing with Nurgle and sometimes Slanesh stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Like, thanks for the meme health. Everybody else is over here with like 14, 16 wounds. We get 13. For the memes. For the lols. Okay, got it. Anyways, he's got the dreaded 13th. You roll 13 dice, pick a unit, blah, blah, blah. For every 5 up, of course within 13 inches. Gotta be 13 inches. Can't be something useful like 18. Gotta be 13. Again, the flavor. Inflict 1 mortal damage and then return 1 slain model to a friendly Clan Rats unit. Okay, that's cool. Fine enough spell. His Rampage is pretty good. It's any combat phase, and the target cannot use commands for the rest of the turn, and you subtract an amount equal to the roll from the target's control score until the start of your next turn. That's real good.
Yep. That's
like better Roar. So
yes, yeah, Roar Plus. Yep.
It's just you can only use it on infantry, which is unfortunate. But against infantry, it is Roar Plus. And then you have your hero phase, the 13-headed one, and you get to pick things, but you can only pick thing once per game. There's lots of fun stuff. Like +1 to rend of Eshin units and +1 to hit rolls for Scryer units. That's the one you're going to choose. +1 to charge for Verminous units. It's fine. And +1 to casting rolls for Friendly Master Clan. Notably, by the by, this guy is everything. He's everything. He's Chaos, Skaven, Demon, Master Clan, Verminous, Pestilence, Eshin, Scryer, Molder. So he's rocking it all. So he benefits from all of his own abilities, which is cool.
Yes.
Rat
What do you
Ogres.
think he's going to cost?
Oh, this guy?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Good question. Too much.
I feel like they're going to start the bidding at like 450 and we'll be like,
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was going to say 440 was the number on the top of my
yeah.
the tip of my tongue. Yep.
But I think this guy's a sign of like magic in the edition, because this dude is a wizard 1.
Yeah,
that's true.
This is Lord Screech, right? Like, this is the named Vermin Lord, right? Legendary
Otherwise,
creature,
he's just
Vermin
bad.
Lord. Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of that, like power level 1 stuff. And I really think like spellcasts on the whole across the game will like be down. A lot of wizard
going to make
ones.
that terrain really hot.
Sure. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the problem with these dudes
that makes
have
the
always
gash
been
staying
that
the
they're
same really
relatively-
impressive.
Yeah. The problem with these dudes has always been the same. The fact they're fragile. You know, 4-up save, 5-up ward. It's like 13 wounds. They just die pretty easy. So, you know, it's always rough. So if they are like 450 points, it's like, yeah, not pass. But, you know, we'll see, I guess. Time will tell. Let's talk about, if we're talking smash or pass, let's talk about my hard smash. I'm in it for this. All day. These guys are everything I want, and I love them, even though they're sadly not 6 wounds anymore. They're 4 health now. Old Rat Ogres in the current were 6, which was great. But 4 health, 5-up save. Okay, it's fine. Not very tough at all. Not very tough.
Nope.
But they are.
They can come back though.
They are an attack machine. Okay.
As I say, you don't need to be tough if you can shoot in combat with a flamethrower.
Yeah, they got a
There's
flamethrower.
only 1 in 3 has a flamethrower.
That is true.
So
Oh yeah, but I mean, if you're a hard smash, if that was your answer, you're gonna have at least 9.
Well, you can't. Like,
remember, you can only reinforce
saying
once
3
now.
units for 3?
So yeah.
Oh no, I meant like 9 rat ogres total. So
Total.
like 3. It could
Total.
be 3 units, however you want to split
with
it.
ya.
But
Oh, I'm talking dirty dozen on the table for sure. 2 packs of 6. Let's go. Okay. Give me 4 flamethrowers. These guys are 5 attacks base, right? 4s, 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage. If these guys have, and by the way, and they can easily just basically automatically put themselves to 6 attacks. And then with that Molder Fleshmeld Menagerie, they're going to go to 7 attacks and potentially get a 5-up ward save. All right.
Yep.
7 attacks out of each one of these models with the new unit coherency means you're attacking with all of them. So 6 of them put out 42 attacks. That feels worth an all-out assault. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
I love them.
And that's not, obviously we haven't seen what other tricks and things might buff them. Like, what does the Master Molder do? Assumingly something. Right?
No, but I'm someone who's a very straightforward player, and so like you were talking about all these really cool things you can do with the 3 claw steps ahead or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you use that on these guys? They're infantry.
Oh yeah.
So like you could just yeet this unit up the board. Like that's my immediate like connection to that ability is just rat ogres go there now.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So like they're on the line, move 6, redeploy another D6, countercharge. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Like it's your turn. I'm playing. Let's go. I'm taking these boys in.
Yep.
And it should be noted that Unleashed Warp Fury is any combat phase. So you can do it in the enemy combat phase there as well.
Yep.
Where's that here? Fleshmeld Menagerie. The bonus here to the attacks is until the start of your next turn. So it's applying into the enemy hero phase as well, as is the 5-up ward.
Yep.
So yeah, boy. Let's go. Okay. So digging that. And then the Warp Lightning Cannon. On the 7th day, God gave us the Warp Lightning Cannon, and it was good. 20-inch range, 2d6 attacks, 4 up to hit. Wound rend damage says see below. I like that. Each attack made with this weapon in a single phase must target the same enemy unit. Makes sense. It's a giant lightning bolt. You can't split attacks. So it's going to average 7, right? That's our math. Each hit inflicts 1 mortal damage on the target and the attack sequence ends. So normal roll of this is 3 or 4 mortal wounds. It's a gun that does 3 or 4 mortal wounds when it shoots at 20-inch range. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously that's swingy. You could get high turns, you could get low turns based on the number of dice you roll and the number of 4-ups you get. You can all out attack it. It's still got a hit roll. So like there's nothing stopping you there.
Goes to 3s.
Goes to 3s. But then once per turn, army. So like the key being if you have multiple Warp Lightning Cannons, you can't do this with more than one of them. But you can do this with one of them. Your shooting phase, more Warp Lightning. If this unit is within the combat range of a friendly scryer hero, add 6 to the attack's characteristic of this unit's Warp Lightning Blast. However, for each unmodified hit roll of 1, it takes D3 damage. I stopped reading or caring. As soon as you said 6 extra attacks, let's go. Never not turning that on. 2d6 plus 6 significantly changes this math, as it now puts your average at 13, and it puts your average damage up around 7 mortal wounds. Pretty good. All out attack. Let's go up to like 9 mortal wounds. Now things are dying. Things are dying. Let's go.
Including this Warp Lightning cannon.
Sure. Like, whatever. Just don't roll 1s, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noob. Obviously, you just don't roll 1s. It's very easy. Look.
Sure.
Like, mathematically, you get 2 shots out of this thing if you're overcharging it. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, on average.
Yep.
And that's great for me. I'm here for it. If I can get 2 shots out of this thing, but get 18 mortal wounds on the table, I'll take it. Yeah. Totally worth it.
Yeah.
Did you say it was 17 per or 7 per, like charged?
7 without the all-out attack. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nine with the all-out.
9 with the all-out attack. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Again, all just averages.
I'm sure they're going to have
a very
ways to repair
swingy
them,
weapon, so like you're talking law of large numbers here. It'll let you down as often as it just like 15 mortal wounds. Just you melt somebody's face right off. Just that will happen. Like both ends of that spectrum are going to happen. You're going to get the lightning bolt that's like piff, meh, right?
Yeah,
and you're going to get the world ender
already.
Yeah, you'll get the Akira beam.
That's the world we've been in, though. Like that's not surprising. Like it's been doing that forever.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So perfect Skaven design. This is the peak of Skaven technology. I'm sad that like so far we've only seen one new Skaven unit, like the drivey shooty gun. Like, where's the rest of our technology? Drivey shooty gun is fun, but I want more.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And then the gnaw hole, 6 health, 4 up save, so very easy to remove as far as... Oh, we lost Tom. As far as faction train goes, he'll be back, I'm sure. Volatile ground, models can pass through the terrain feature, but cannot be set up on or end moves on it, which is interesting because that makes it actually very useful for blocking. Like if you're trying to... Like, it is your chaff. It could be your chaff. Right? Because depending on how the other terrain looks, like, here you go. Let me set up a very simple situation for you. You have your unit here, and there is a big piece of terrain right next to you, and that terrain is unstable. So people can walk across it, but they can't end on it, right? And then you set up your gnaw hole 3 inches from the other terrain, and so there's a 3-inch gap in between you and that terrain, right?
Yep.
So we're and 1 inch away from you. Yeah, this is all legal at this point. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they have any kind of bigger base. Anything that is large.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't getting in. They cannot charge your unit. They have to charge your gnaw hole. Right? And like, hopefully they can, and then maybe, depending on how you set it up, they could pile around and maybe get into you, depending on what's going on. But depending on how you set up, you can just shut them off completely from getting to you. So it's just really interesting how you can control with this thing. But they take damage if they move across it, which is cool.
Sounds pretty cheaty.
Yeah, sure. Trungi, it is in fact. It is in fact. And then the Endless Vermintide, 1 command point, once per turn, army, end of your turn. Pick a friendly non-hero Skaven infantry unit that has been destroyed to be the target. Set up a replacement unit with half the number of models, rounding up wholly within 6 inches of a friendly gnaw hole and 3 inches from enemy units. 3 inches. Interesting. We're playing the Soulblight Gravelords game now, baby. We call that cheating. And then, of course, the tunnel through reality. You can, go through gnaw holes.
I will say, ironically, that the setup is at the end of your turn.
Yep.
So you really could play Whack-a-Hole by shooting. Or I guess we don't have off-turn shooting, but you could off-turn charge.
We have off-turn shooting. There's off-turn shooting. There's still the unleash.
Yeah, I guess you could off-turn shoot. Like, yes, but it's only the nearest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could still try to off-turn charge and remove holes before they get to set the unit up, because the setup is at the end of the turn. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you almost need to keep like a gnaw hole in your backfield. I think like the first one you set up is just basically castle behind your army, so that way you can like bring stuff back, right? So
no, I mean, I think the right answer is you always have one in your backfield that around your army, so that you have the option of like at the start of the turn putting a hole out there to teleport out to if you want to extend from your castle, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's the right answer, and then you have another one in your back pocket for returning units or for strategic. Sorry, I was going to use language that I probably can't use yet. So, strategic activities.
Sure.
Ass hattery.
Sure. Okay. All right. So then, again, we get to the Spearhead stuff, which we'll save for later. Yeah. Okay. hour and 10-minute news section, but we're done. We're there. We got it. That is all the news. Woo! Boy, hit like for hour and 10-minute long news sections. I'll tell you
I
what.
know, right? That's the future for right now.
I mean, it really is, just because of all this. All right, gentlemen, with that long news section out of the way, let's go to a very delayed pick of the week. Doug, what do you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, so my pick of the week actually was Baron of Dice. They're a small dice creator designer company. They go to a lot of events. Super cool art, guys. The reason I wanted to have them as my pick of the week is, one, they're doing a big like warehouse clearing thing, so you can get dice super cheap. But in this kind of weird nebulous zone, I love focusing on those kind of like extra hobby things that get me excited without having like hard rules for my flesh eater quartz. So I picked up like a bunch of like red wine dice and I don't know, cool dice bags. I got a case for them. I'm going to kit out to make it look like a coffin. I'm just getting excited for the side stuff. So yeah.
Nice. I like that very much. Tom, what do you want to share with everybody?
In alignment with our show and some of the reflections that we're going to have here on Spearhead, I'm going to spruik AOS Coach did a stream on his experiences with Spearhead and 4th edition. And so I am going to encourage you all to check that stream out if you haven't watched it yet. It's fantastic.
Very nice. I got 2 hot picks coming in for you. Continuing the Spearhead discussion, Honest Wargamer Rob did a little discussion of his experiences with Spearhead. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know that I agree with all of it, but I do think it's insightful into his experiences and stuff like that. So I thought it was really good. Rob, as always, is a great sort of like, the way he just has a good way of breaking things down. So I did like that very much. The second thing I want to shout out is, hey everyone, guess what? Not this weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. Next weekend is TMX. It's Uncle Adam's convention in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. If you're going to be anywhere near there, I'm teaching classes there. So is Zambies and so is Sam Lenz. We'll be up there. We'll be doing some demos and play of the new game that we're about to release. I'll talk about that more in a second. If you're around and there's still some space, you can sign up for some classes. I think there's still a few open slots in a few of the classes. So, hey, come check it out. I'll throw the link down below. So yeah, we'd love to have you stop by, and we're gonna have lots and lots of different games running. It's gonna be a good time from a lot of different people. But also on this, the other pick is, hey, my Twitter or Instagram, both of which are up there. You can use whichever one. I mean, I guess Twitter's not really Twitter anymore. Whatever. I'm not gonna put that dumb X up there. And like, the reason to be on there right now, as near as I can tell, is, folks, we're 2 days away. We're 2 days away from the launch of Uncle Adam and I's next game. I could lie to you and say that the book isn't sitting right next to me on the ground. But I'm not going to do that. It is. It's sitting right next to me. It's right there. It's right out of screen. I've got it. It's coming soon. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, get excited. If you saw some of the stuff we were sharing out today and yesterday, there's quite a lot of theory going on about what exactly it is. We shared some awesome pieces of art from the book. We're really, really proud of the art for this. And so we work with a really, really incredible artist. We'll talk all about that when we launch the book. So anyways, stay tuned. 2 days. It's going to be exciting. Okay.
I'm very
There's
excited.
my picks. Let's talk about some hobby time. Much faster segment there. All right. Hobby time. Doug, what have you been working on? What's been on your table? Because as you said, we're in that liminal space, right? It's tough.
Yep. So my kind of faction that I'm focusing on going into the edition is my Flesh Eater Quartz. And so I needed to grab a Arborant Ghoul Regent or whatever he is, like basically to fill out the Vanguard set. Or the Spearhead box rather. And he was weirdly hard to get a hold of one. I don't know why. Like nobody had one. I have him and then the latest Flesh Eater Quartz from Underworlds because I want to keep the paint moving on the project without necessarily knowing what I want to paint next for a unit for army building. So yeah, just those two right now.
I think that's perfectly fair. That's I think that's exactly the right idea. Tom, what about you? What have you been doing?
Well, it couldn't have been more appropriate, obviously, for the show. So I just finished the commission that I've been working on longer than I want to acknowledge or admit. And I'm actually delivering that commission this weekend. So I'm super excited to have that off of my desk. But more importantly, it has now freed me up to work on my own projects. And so I have like 70 or 80 models out on my table downstairs, spread across like 12 armies or something ridiculous.
Okay.
Where I'm like, I've went through, so I had built all of these armies for Spearhead, right? Because like I went through my closet and like pulled all the units and assembled all the spearheads for that. And half of it's painted, but half of it's not. Like portions of spearheads are painted, but not all the units. And so like I pulled all the stuff, and I spent like the last 3 days doing all the basing. So a bunch of different basing of a bunch of different armies appropriate to whatever the rest of those armies look like, right? And then having to decide on basing for armies that I haven't even done yet, but I'm doing the spearhead for right now. But working on that, but I'm gonna get all that done, and then I'll go into Primathon, where like I'll just spend like a weekend or two just priming just dozens and dozens and dozens of models.
Sure.
And then once all that's done, I'm going to pivot to. I'm going to be doing a new army with my son, and he wanted to do Iron Jaws for the new edition for the event that we're doing together for the doubles event. So I'm going to be doing some other orky goodness with him. So probably going to do what's that army Novi plays? Cruel Boys? Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Right on.
I couldn't think of it the other day in a lore video. I had to like stop and Google. I felt really ashamed of myself.
You're like edit.
I was like the mud orcs, swamp boys.
Yeah, swamp
mud
bogglers.
orcs.
Yeah, swamp bogglers.
Swamp bogglers. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm going to be pivoting. The first of the spearheads I want to paint is I want to paint the swamp bogglers, and then I don't know if I'll work more. Like I'll probably need to see all of the rules before I decide what else I'm going to paint for that army for doubles. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll.
So it'll be more spearhead. Lots and lots of spearhead.
Well, it's been a busy hobby time for myself. Let's see here. I've got a picture to share with everybody. Bring that up here. There we go. Put up. So this right here that's up on your screen is from Mindwork Games. This is one of the new display figures out of their upcoming Kickstarter. It goes live on the I'll get the exact date. Sorry, I apologize, everyone. I thought I had the date in my head, and then I moved my piece of paper that had it written down. Okay. So on May 31st at 5 p.m. Warsaw time. So there you go. That's when it goes live. So May 31st, sometime during the early part of the day in Eastern time. And all the figures are based on Brahm art. So there's just like 9 incredible figures that are all rendered straight out of Brahm's art. They're pretty fantastic. So this is the one that I decided to paint. I've got another one. They were nice enough to send me a couple. So there will be a video for this at the same time, breaking this down. This is like a figure for competition. And so this is just like a lot of fun. I love this figure and finished this up over the weekend. So yeah, there you go.
How big is it?
She's like 75 millimeter, basically. So she's pretty big.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's just like, I mean, obviously she's gorgeous. I really love this. The original piece of art is called Tempest. It's very different rendering in Brahm's art. Like I wasn't trying to recreate what he did. When I looked at her, I saw Poison Ivy. Probably because like she has these bracers. You can only kind of see them in this shot, but she has these bracers that look very much like Poison Ivy's bracers. And I was just like, well, that's my color scheme right there. So it's like Poison Ivy, but the versions of Poison Ivy that render her a little more human skin toned as opposed to green skin toned.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well, I finished that, and I needed something. I wanted to keep painting, but I needed something that was just like no thought after that. So I had this thing sitting around for a while. Like I've had my corn skull altar for a long time. So I painted it. I was like, that's cool. It was already primed. So I was just like, I sat down. Didn't take that long. It's fun. It's a fun thing to paint, right? Like, cool. And so now I have another painted piece of terrain. I think I want more of these anyways, these like faction terrain pieces, because obviously in the new edition, like a lot of the maps have those places of power on the terrain maps, and they're like smaller.
Oh yeah.
So I think stuff like this is going to be perfect. Like I'm going to use all my faction terrain pieces as places of power. You know, like they'll be these things and the Flesh Eater Quartz one and a Null Hole or the Seraphon Temple, or you get it, right?
The Lumineth Shrine.
Yeah, I was thinking the Lumineth one.
The Lumineth Shrine, the old gate, the Warp Gate, right, or whatever, Arcane Warp Gate or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. So just so I've got a lot of those small pieces. So I thought that was fun, and then finished that, and then thank you, Gareth. Said you'd much rather see the altar in detail. Yeah, I bet. And then no rest for the wicked. Just started on this guy. Obviously, he's the little. I got to work on my Skaven. What I'm trying to do is pick my color scheme for my new Skaven. So I want to try it. So this is my test model for it. This is obviously the Warlock Bombardier. This sort of plastic one that came out, not that long ago. He's relatively new.
He's very pink.
Oh, he's very pink right now. Yes, his skin is very pink right now. Yeah. That's because he's only in like sort of base coats right now. But yeah, so I just want to. Basically I looked through a bunch of the old Skaven heraldry book, if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
It was a great book. They did one for the Empire and one for the Skaven, and they were really, really great books.
High Elves.
Yep. Yeah, one for the High Elves as well. And so I looked through there, and I think I found a clan that kind of like I want to build on for inspiration. But it's tough because like I want them to stand out, but I don't like it has to be something I can make look really good, because I want this, even though it's even though it's a Skaven army, I want it to look really good. I want it to be a competition army. But at the same time, I also know what's ahead of me, which is like a lot. Like it's not an insignificant number of models when you're doing a Skaven army.
So it needs to be reproducible, and it needs to be able to be done to a high quality quickly. John Needus made a video for this.
He did. I disagree with some of his his decisions, but that's fine. His stuff wouldn't win awards at an army painting competition. Sorry, John. But they look very nice at your local store. You'd definitely be the best painted army at your local store. But I'm looking to make one of the 3 best painted armies in the country. So that's a slightly different goal. So at any rate, that's going to be the journey there with that is
So what are you going to tell us anything about the clan, or are you going to just leave the colors,
Well, let me tell you here's what's so funny about it. It's funny you ask. So I looked through the clan names, and the one that inspired me, so obviously there's Clan Molder, right? Like that we just talked about. It's like a very famous clan, right? So there is actually this I didn't realize it until, because I was just looking at the art plates, like the color plates. And then I found one, and I looked up what clan it was, and it's Clan Scully. This is real. Okay. And I was like, well, the truth is out there. I don't know what else to say. So yeah, that's
amazing. Okay.
So that's very funny.
Clan Scully. Like it.
So you like pain? I hear that.
Sure.
Okay, good.
Amusing Park said Skaven, but only using the Rogue Hobbies paint line. Well, one of the paints that's already here, I don't have all the paints picked out for them yet. I'm still just playing with colors. Yeah. But I will say one of the paints already in the color scheme is a new one from Rogue Hobbies, specifically the very intense orange red. So there you go. Yep. Louise has a kick and paint set signature series there.
Red being the primary color of Scully.
Yes, correct. That's right.
Oh, cool.
That's right.
Yep.
And if you're interested in picking up that new signature set, hey, there's an affiliate link down in the description below. You can check that out, save some money, and help give the channel some support. Okay. So with the shameless plugging out of the way, gentlemen, let's talk Spearhead.
Yes.
Put that away. just going to bring up the Spearhead article. Okay. All right. So, as I said at the top of the show, it seems like forever ago now. But Doug and I both got to play Spearhead. And I've had some time to basically like, I mean, I'll admit that I've had to be a little cheeky about Spearhead over the past some amount of time. Because
I just stopped covering them.
Yes,
I couldn't.
Because like people have said in the comments to me, why are you so excited about Spearhead? Why do you think it's going to be good? Blah, 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 blah. Like a lot of people have come at me in the comments like that. Yep. Right. And I'm like, just trust me. I think it's going to be really good. And it's like, you know, but the real answer is because I've played it and it's really fun. That's the answer. And I had a really great time and think it's very well designed. So the reality is I have had a little bit more experience with Spearhead than I've been letting on. Sorry, everybody, but you know, that's just the way it is. Sometimes we have to tell the little white lies. But Doug, I want to kick it over to you here because I've opined on this enough, and I've been in previous shows talking about this. But like, I want to know your thoughts, high level view on Spearhead. Are you excited? What excites you? That kind of thing. Just hit me, man.
What excites me about it is that it, from the beginning, kind of set out to do two things that they don't normally go together, which is have an introductory product and then its own self-contained format that is inherently like engaging and fun and people want to play. Because like usually you get one of the two, right? It's onboarding and then people who play quote unquote real 2K games or just ignore it because it's not its own thing. Or if it's its own format and limited, then it's just one more thing that people have to learn after having learned the game. So having one that does both is like very engaging to me.
Right.
We were talking a little bit before we went live, and my local gaming group, we meet at a pub. There's a brewery that the owner plays war games, so he just sets out like a couple tables for us. And so, it's awesome. And so Spearhead is just much more conducive to so many people's gaming environments. So when you match the accessibility of it, like in terms of its physical footprint, astoundingly fast it can play, to the engagement level of its own format and how it is really fun and can very easily be supported. Like all this stuff is like just wins to me.
Yep.
And then also there's AOS 4th edition, in my opinion. Which is kind of where I'm at. Like, I mean, and I'm so excited for a lot of the things about it is it teaches you so much without forcing you to do anything. So an example is like some people when I did my live stream about it were asking about list building. Like, is it super fun because there's no list building? And I said, well, it's weird because it still teaches you valuable list building lessons. You still have to pick your command artifacts, your special abilities, that kind of stuff. Like all those things are still present. So you're even in this limited format, having player expression, teaching skills, introducing ideas. It's all there. And I just think it's really fun.
Couldn't agree more.
How's that for a rant?
No, that's great. Not a rant at all. A very welcome dissertation, frankly. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. Like, obviously, the huge advantage here is that there is no quote-unquote list building in the traditional like unit sense. It's you buy the box, you put together the box, you paint the box, you play the box. Or probably, the order to that's probably wrong. It's probably you buy the box, you put together the box, you play the box, you paint the box, if we're talking real here.
Yeah.
The real. But the achievability of this as sort of an aspirational goal is so much better than a 2K army, right? Like I just had the whole discussion of staring down my paint scheme for a 2K army of Skaven, right? For my new army, and I'm like, oh boy, right? Like that's a long. The road stretches far before me, right? Whereas if like I was just making a Spearhead, I'd be like, let's go. I don't care how much time any individual model takes. It's irrelevant because it's not like it's such a known quantity, right? So you have the time
unless you're doing
like,
Zinch.
Why?
Oh, that's fair. Oh yeah.
Have you seen how many models are in the Zinch Spearhead? It's like 40 models.
Yeah, even that's
Oh,
still
because they have
not
all the
bad.
horrors, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
sure.
no, they don't have any horrors in there. But it's
Okay.
like Zangor, it's Arkanites,
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
they're up
that's
here on the top,
right.
Screamers, Flamers. Like it's just it's insanity.
Screamers and flamers are free. Those things are free. That's like those are
All the
our
models.
paint jobs
All
to
the
bring
models.
to like display quality.
Breadsticks at Olive Garden right there. That gets you
Yeah,
in the door.
I mean exactly. They're
All
chewed
the
up pieces of
models.
bubble gum. That's not real. But yeah, fair point. But like it's such a known quantity, especially with a lot of these, and they've touted like, oh, play the game on your lunch break, blah blah blah. And one of the things Rob said, I agree with. He's like, they got to get off that message. That's not how lunch breaks work anywhere else in the world except Games Workshop.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with that.
I have time to eat my lunch on my lunch break. Okay, like let's be real here. Okay, I got meetings. I got stuff to do. I'm not playing a game.
As an aside, I don't know that we're going to do this, but you know what the real winner here is for again the real winner army amongst the spearheads for a new player.
Sure. What?
Sylvaneth.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's 10 models. It's 10 models that are trees that take contrast and dry brushing.
Yeah, because it's like 5 branch dudes, whatever, the tree revenants,
3 Kurnoth guys,
a tree lord,
tree
and then
guy.
the character.
Yeah, and a witch.
Yeah.
Done. 10 models, all wood.
Fantastic. No, I agree. And like, regardless, that the selling point here is that once you know what you're doing, it's perfectly reasonable to play the game in an hour 15, anything like that. Now, your first game will take you longer. Doug, do you know how long your first game took? I think mine was I think it took me about an hour 20, the first game.
Oh, we got done significantly earlier than you guys did. Mine was like 50 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
but
I remember you
your
walking
game had a
over
lot
and
more
we were
models
still
on the
playing.
table.
Yeah, and like that's because like my first game, we were in it. We were in it to win it. Like it went to the bottom of 4, baby. It was toit. Okay, down to the end, down to the wire. Which is like one of the things I will say is that the game is very much set up to have tight scoring.
Yes, like it seems to be that. At least that's what they were trending towards, for sure.
Mm-hmm. In what I've seen and what I've experienced so far, it is definitely a game where like it'll be 4 rounds. Won't always be the case. Like sometimes you will still get a blowout. That's just the nature of any RNG game, right? Like it's sometimes dice will turn against you. Sometimes things will just go wrong. But like it's, for the most part, your games will be quite close. As a point of example, I lost. So I was playing a Skaven one that had 2 shooting units in it, and then like foot clan rats and garbage. Just garbage. Mm-hmm. Okay, just like some garbage. And I set up really stupidly because the board is really small. Like the first time you play, if you're not sort of thinking about it, you will not realize how different the experience is on the small Warcry board. And I like set up and blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, sure, okay, this looks good. And then turn 1, my opponent was just in my on my unit. Okay, on my shooting unit. My shooting unit that did not have shoot in combat. And I was like, well, that sucks. Okay. And I lost both of my shooting units. Like they never fired. One of them fired once. Okay. One of my shooting units fired once. And then they both died. Mm-hmm. So I lost a major chunk of my army pretty fast. But it was actually a blessing. Because at first I was like, well, I lost this game. Now I did end up losing, but I only lost by 1 point because what I turned to was like, okay, time to play the fundamentals, right? Yep. I was like, let's say enough with the tricks, fundamentals, right? We're here to do the objectives, to play the movement game, to like block, tackle, do the basic stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I just like lasered in on the fundamentals. and was able to still like absolutely hang back in and kept the score tied until eventually like my opponent got ahead of me by they were able to achieve an extra battle tactic that I couldn't, and they got ahead by 1 point. That was it. And it was like that happened at the end in turn 4. So like even with those losses, I still felt like I could play the game really well. And like just your basic units are just very useful. And at the same time, that is partially because the smaller board, right? Like you can get around, make decisions, move around a lot of the board relatively quickly. So I've seen some people push back at push back at like the size of the board, but I actually think it's a great strength. After playing a little bit, I actually really love the small board because it means your regular kind of ground pounder foot units actually end up being quite scary at all points in time because your opponents have to keep track of all of them, because just like one of them could just be across the board, somewhere else doing some hinky jinky stuff pretty fast. So pretty cool. Okay.
My game was I was playing Flesh Eater Courts against Khorne, and so ours had a kind of a very somewhat similar tempo to what you described, except I lost my heroes like in Flesh Eater Courts way too easily. I got real aggressive, and I was like, these guys want to be up front. They want to pick a fight with someone, right? No, they don't. So I was kind of back-footed, but yeah, using the underdog mechanics and stuff like that, I came back and I think I was 3 points down at the end on the final round. So I was like, I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah, not at all. That's great.
Some of your core pieces, yeah.
And it's like, it comes with obviously with the box, you're going to get those like large pieces of terrain, too large, too small. Like we saw the stuff that was in there, right? And the board itself is like Akshi or Gairan. It has the objectives printed on there, and that will decide your deployment areas and all that kind of stuff. So, it's all very straightforward into how it works. What was your experience, Doug, with the Twist deck?
Yeah, ours was in Akshi.
Okay. I played a Gairan game, so that's good. It's good.
Okay. Ours, I'm trying to remember the specific twists that we got. One of them.
Did you feel like they were impactful, or were yours kind of just like, it's all right, it's fine?
I felt like mine, they don't leave a strong note. How about that? They don't leave a strong impression. I had a lot thrown at me that day, but they don't stand out. But that being said, like I remember specifically there was a turn where the twist affected how the underdog thing worked, and so I shot back on victory points because I don't know, landed this objective and it was part of the twist thing. So like it mattered, but not like in a dominating way that I don't know.
Okay. No, that's good. I think it's funny because so I played on the Gairan one, and turn 1 we flipped the twist. So first of all, there's not a default underdog on turn 1, obviously, because you're both the same. So there's no underdog. There's just no one. But we flipped one of the cards that's like roll a die to see who the underdog is, and like just by pure happenstance, my opponent was the underdog. This is why I don't like. This is one of the few things I don't like about the Twist deck. And the Twist deck is like, not all the cards work this way. Only a few of them do. And I don't like the ones that do work this way, where it says like there's some of them that say like if there's not an underdog, then roll off and the winner's the underdog or whatever, something like that, to that effect. And I don't like that because it's just like we're both even. No one should get the bonus, right? What ended up happening is the twist that was flipped was like negative. The underdog gets to pick an enemy unit and give it -1 to save, which is like obviously a big penalty. Right? Clearly. And they were the underdog. They did it, and they picked like my big heavy armored shooting unit and then charged that unit. And so like it really was unfortunate, right? I was like, oh God, I really like felt the pain for that. So it compounded on the mistake I had already made in setup, right, as it were.
Yeah.
But like otherwise, that's probably my only thing with the Twist deck, and it was only that turn that kind of that sort of thing happened. The rest of the game, the twists are all like, yeah, okay, cool. You know, there was an established underdog. Somebody's down on points. And so, like, it did what it was supposed to do, and it felt pretty good. I think my only critique of it would be that first round, if you flip into one of the roll-off cards, it's like, oh, God, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's kind of a negative thing.
I don't remember getting one of those particularly.
Okay.
How did you feel about the opportunity cost of having the objectives on one side and then your like bonuses or whatever? Yeah.
Crazy loved it.
Did you struggle with that like at all, like your first turn?
Yeah, sure, 100%. So Tom, I'm interested in your thoughts on this, because obviously, you know, you haven't gotten to play it, but like you've seen now these cards are broken down, right? So we have them. I think it's in this. No, which article is it in? Sorry, it's in maybe this article. Yeah, here we go. Sorry, I've got this article up just so we could reference it. Darn it, it's not in anywhere here. Where's it at? All right. Well, anyways, we saw one of the cards. I don't remember where we saw it in, but like they have the thing where it's like you know, one side of it is a battle tactic, and then the other thing is your command ability,
special
because you don't have normal command abilities, right? You just use the other side of the card.
Yep.
And you can score up to 3 of them. Obviously, you draw 3, you can score up to 3, and so on and so forth. But I'm curious as to how you think about that, and how that's framed in your mind right now when you saw the cards that we went through and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the way that I approached it was like I drew them, I look at the board state, and you just have to look at and say, like, what things can I just not do? I mean, I'm just going through my thought process.
Yeah.
What is just not an option? Then I literally just flip those cards upside down in my hand, because like that I'm dedicating no mental space to those ideas whatsoever. The words don't matter. So like now I'm looking at something that's achievable and the tools that I have at my disposal to achieve it. And like from there, you look down at the table again, do what you can do.
Yep.
But to me, if those battle tactics, like those are still performative things, right? Like getting the points off of those are things that you have to do on the battlefield. Is that right?
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's not just like as long as you don't spend it, you get a free point.
No, it's very much like go to a place, do the thing, kill the thing, you know, whatever, right? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So the way that I would think about it is this: how many of these can I actually like achieve points wise? And then if I can't achieve something points wise, that's when it becomes an ability I use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, because I would always default to trying to score more.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. The way I thought about it was, so I'll go. It's funny. We all have a similar thought pattern here, and I knew you were going to sort of go down that same road, Tom, because I think I had a similar triage in my experience. So the first thing I separated the pile into was, which one of these battle tactics can I absolutely achieve? Okay, just like no question, I'm going to get it. Because some of those are like, have control of this particular point, like the Dracothian point or something like that, right? And like, if you already own that one and it's safely in your control, you're just like, all right, that one's I've got that one. Or it's one you can get to and move to and take or whatever, right? There's not really enemy presence on it, whatever. Okay. That goes in the auto achieve space, right? Mm-hmm. My next one was of what's left is that I did, my next triage are any of these command abilities so powerful or so good that I think
they're backbreaking?
That they're going to backbreak my opponent, right? Like, exactly. Like, I'm in a position to mega capitalize on this thing. So, like, one of the ones that they shared and that actually came up in my game in a big way was there's one that lets you like heal D6 a hero.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I had a hero in a really good spot where he was doing a lot of work, but he was down to like 1 wound. And I ripped that card and I was like bloop and put him back to full. Right? And I was like boom. Right, because he was fighting just like garbage. So he was getting brought down slowly, but like putting him back to full meant he was alive for the rest of the game. Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so like, what of these is going to be just sort of, absolutely like windmill slamma jamma command ability wise? And then okay, those go in the I'm definitely not using them for the battle tactic, right? And then finally, what I have left is like my floater stretch goals, like go for the BT if the option presents itself.
Stretch
use
goals,
the command ability if I have to do it to dig myself out of a hole, right? And like as complicated as that was to explain, it was actually a pretty quick process on the table.
Yeah, because I felt like most of the achievability was a very quick yes/no question. Because like the objectives are the way that they're laid out, the movement values are so clear on stuff. Like the flesh eater courts have like a few different movement profiles because they have like the Morbeg Knights and the foot dudes,
right?
And even with all like the juggling those things in my head, it's still very clear if you can just not do a thing. And so it goes pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, I think once you get like a little bit of experience with it, especially because the deck is set, it's 12 cards, like you know what they are, so it's a learnable thing, right? You just don't know which 3 you're going to grip and rip at that particular moment, right?
Yeah.
So like there is a level of knowledge here once you're actually deeply, like once you've
sure.
played Spearhead enough, where you're like, okay, I know what 3 my opponent just discarded, or because it's public knowledge. Like when you draw the cards, you set them down. They're exposed to your opponent. They know which 3 you have. And I think you look at it and you're like, okay, I know which 3 they already used. I know which 3 they have, so I know what they haven't used yet, and so on and so forth. So like that can all be stuff that could be in your head. Odd Mini said, based on this article, it sounds like all Vanguard boxes get Spearhead rules plus 3 Man Crusher box, so BLC will stay in Spearhead for the foreseeable future, ? I don't know. I'm not sure what that is, because they took them out of the picture. I don't know if they're going to...
Yeah, they were real dodgy.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you there. Yeah, exactly what Gareth said. Yes, knowing those things. Amusing Park said, what do you think about saving cards for a later round? Honestly, I don't like it. I don't think I do it much. Most of the time, I either would seek to use the command abilities or score the points because I want a fresh 3.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think of any that were like that I felt confident looking at the board that I knew that I could score next turn and that it would be worth doing that. Like that never came up in my, what do you call it, triage or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my answer is if I can cast Thrill of Possibility for free, I'm going to do so. So I'll happily discard the one to draw 3 new ones. Enhanced Thrill of Possibility, I guess. Yeah. By the way, folks in the chat, ask your questions. What do you want to know? Like, hit us with questions about Spearhead. I can't... And by the way, if your questions are, is this particular Spearhead good? I do not have answers for you on that. I have not played every Spearhead force. I don't have answers on like which ones are really good and stats and stuff like that. But if you have questions about the general game, I can answer all the questions about the general game. Tom, what about you?
Tori asked.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, Tori in the chat asked, would we play with extra terrain? I would not say extra, but I would try some different buildings and ways to break up the line of sight. Yeah.
I think you could switch because there's like specifically you couldn't add extra. I don't think, Tori, is the honest answer, because there are battle tactics that say like the large piece of terrain, like where the terrain is set up and how it is set up is very specifically specific in the thing. And like there's 2 large pieces of terrain and 2 small pieces of terrain, and those are evenly divided on the maps. Okay. And that's relevant for battle tactics because it'll say like control the large piece of terrain in the enemy territory. Right? So you have to have, so like you could switch, you could use a different large piece of terrain or a different small piece of terrain to suit the aesthetics of your board, or to slightly change the size of the thing. I don't think that would be any problem with that. But like you need you need that exact configuration, as it were.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a good question. Let's see. What other questions do we got? Oh, we got some questions rolling in. Are modifiers capped? Yes, in all the ways you would expect is my answer.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, yes, like +1 to hit max and all that kind of stuff. That's still very much the case. Like that, kind of the way you think about it now in third. It's still the same thing in Spearhead. Oh yeah, go ahead. I don't know this one.
Oh,
I was going to say,
did FEC have a noble deeds type system at all?
I will not comment on specific things. I will simply say that it felt refreshingly the same as Flesh Eater Courts because we all know them.
Yes.
But one that I want to point out was how crowded was the board in general. And I wanted to ask your opinion, Vince, because you played a very like infantry heavy game.
Yes, indeed.
On both sides.
Super heavy. Yeah, it was horde against horde, basically. Big spearhead against big spearhead, yeah.
What did you think?
Loved it. No problem. Honestly, it did not. Stuff dies.
Yeah.
Stuff dies pretty fast.
The half inch coherency and the movement stats of stuff, I just felt like I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah. Exactly. With a tighter coherency in the bubble, and like you would think it would be full, but it's really not. Like it did not feel too busy. It honestly felt like there was good maneuverability. And again, I was playing like one of the bigger spearheads against one of the other bigger spearheads. We both had like just bodies, and yet still it honestly felt great. No, I liked it because it felt like there was always something to be doing. Is that for your units is what I would say.
Yes, I would agree. I felt the same.
Yep. Let's see. Talons on. COS is clearly the best spearhead because it has a cannon. I mean, that's just logic right there.
Unless it doesn't have shoot in combat, which I suspect it doesn't, which would likely be problematic.
Watch out for those shooting units that don't have shoot in combat in Spearhead. Yeah, it's it hurts. You gotta really corner those. Let's see. Do you think the cards help with replayability from playing the same Spearhead over and over? Yes, 100%. Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that's why they designed it like that. Because then effectively the play experience is quite different because the way the battle tactics roll to you is different. The way the twists flip is different. You know, there's two different twist decks, like Akshi versus Gairan decks. And clearly there'll be more in the future. Like they'll do other twist decks in the future. I think it very much will change the experience of it very much changes the experience of the game.
And to that point, go ahead. No, please.
No. Mine was going to be tangential to that. So go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, someone had also asked, do you think it's just a new person format, like an intro thing, or do you think it's going to be supported like, I don't know. Do you see yourself playing Spearhead events or like that kind of thing?
I would totally play a Spearhead event. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think it'll absolutely... This ties into a question. Jarrett Ducker said, what are they doing in Spearhead that's going to make it more successful than Combat Patrol? Which was a good idea, but didn't find an audience. I have a very simple answer. They actually built a solid game, which Combat Patrol wasn't. Like, it's that easy. Like, all of the things we've talked about so far, plus the clever ways that they balanced these against each other, means that it's actually fun to play basically any of these against any of these.
Yes. What Combat Patrol missed to me was, we call them in AOS now modules, but like basically redefining how objectives and that kind of stuff, the literal game element that Vince is talking about is just so much more engaging than just small 40k that we made them not egregious against one another is different.
Yeah.
And so I think it's an immense amount more fun for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Let's see. More questions. Do you think Spearhead is good enough that people will play this instead of building full armies? I think it's both. Like, building a full army allows you to go deep into one thing. Like, I really love Skaven and have thousand points and would collect Skaven far beyond the Spearhead because I'm deeply in love with the army. But there are other armies that, like, if I get a Spearhead done, I'm like, yeah, okay, that feels pretty good. Like, I'm good to stop there. So doing a bunch of Spearheads lets you go wide, whereas deeply investing lets you go tall. And I think having both axes available means that different people will engage in different ways with different armies.
Yeah.
And that's a positive.
What I love is that, like, looking at this, there's a lot of ways to interact with it as a format where, like, say you went to a 3-round event at, I don't know, Adepticon or something like that. You have your roster and you don't choose your command traits and artifacts and that kind of stuff before the game. You choose it when you sit down with your opponent.
That's right. That's
so you get to see
fact.
what's Yeah. The mental note that I made for myself was it all plays like Flesh Eater Court Delusions, which is you get a chance to kind of see what you're looking at before you have to lock in. So what if you did an event that was 3 rounds and every single time you could only use them once? You had to cross it off. That would be so engaging and so much fun. Never mind new stuff coming out like new realm decks or whatever they wanted to do in the future. But
yeah. No, that's such an important point. We didn't mention it. Yeah, you're like when you're choosing your stuff, like your traits and your or not your traits, but your whatever benefits and your enhancements or whatever. I don't know, artifacts, things. When you choose those things, you choose them at the table. So you know who your opponent is. You choose them as part of the pre-deployment, which is cool.
Yeah,
that's super cool. I kind of wish normal
Justin
AOS worked like that, but hey, whatever.
It's fine. I know. Yeah, I agree. Justin K had a question. It was, how does the gameplay hold up to a Warcry in terms of fun?
And I like it a lot better than Warcry because it still feels like I'm playing AOS. That's my honest answer.
Yes. Well, my big thing for Warcry was always it is the quickest way to have your Warhammer fix of that same kind of fun of like crazy actions happening or whatever.
Sure.
And I feel like this, it's different. I wouldn't say usurped it because they're different kinds of games. But like for me personally, to get my quick fix of Warhammer, this is the lowest amount of work to have the most amount of fun that you could do for army games, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Justin K also said, did the terrain actually feel relevant with that little of it? Yes, because the battle tactics made it so. Like you were going to the terrain, trying to hold the terrain, do stuff with the terrain. Like it did matter. And
I was not impressed until I saw those cards too.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it when you first set it up, but once you actually play, you'll be like, oh no, this matters. And like I will say, with the large pieces of terrain and the small size of the units, like the big ones, the walls or whatever they come in the box, I mean they can block line of sight pretty effectively. So like it is actually a perfectly valid anti-shooting tech. To like, because you get to set up your own terrain in your territory. So, there you go.
Yep.
How does it play in terms of speed and mental load to Warcry? Like mental load, I found it easier because I didn't have to remember a different set of rules, but other people might have different experiences. Like the fact that I was just remembering that I was just playing AOS, right? But doing it with the scrolls that were in front of me. That were different.
Well, and also all the battle tactics, a lot of the buffs that you can get, they're all things that are in the core rules, just jumbled up a little bit in new places.
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
it's like you flip the card, do the thing on the card, right? Like So, yeah, Inquisitor S. I do think it's got long term. I mean, the advantage to competitive play is you could hold a full tournament in one day, right? Like you could do a 5-round in a day, easy.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
Harpsichord Knight asked, does the starter box come with cards for all the Spearhead boxes, or would those come in the refreshed Spearhead boxes? The answer is neither, Harpsichord Knight. What they've said for us is that the cards for Spearhead boxes are going to come in the faction packs that they're releasing shortly after release. And so there's no evidence that we're going to get any of the... And it'll all be available for free download that you can print off as well.
I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. And then also that they talked about the... Here it is. It's this thing right here. Where's it at? There. Fire and Jade. That this book that comes in the big box, the Scaventide box, has the actual rules for all of the armies in it as well, if you want the book reference. So like in the big Scaventide box, you get
but there's a book.
Right. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Did spellcasters feel impactful in Spearhead? Yes, more so than in regular AOS.
Mine got sniped before I could use them. I couldn't tell you.
My dude was rocking and rolling, baby. No, he was awesome. Like, yes, 1,000% yes. Because there's no unbind. It's just roll the 2 dice, hit the number, do the thing. It's an ability. It feels great. Yep. It feels great. I hate Magic in normal AOS. I'm sorry. I still do. It's just such a punishing, grueling, awful experience of failure. So, like, unless you're running, Tzeentch or Nagash or something. Mm-hmm. All right. No, here it felt great. How many of the Spearheads did you get to play? A few of them. Like, that the particular day that Doug and I got to play together, one each, and then I've gotten to play a few others since then. Like, everything I've played so far has felt very correct, is what I'll say. So,
Yeah. Would you say that your spearheads, like the spearheads that you have played, are good representations, both in flavor, models, whatever, of the faction that they're trying to be?
yes, very much so.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think
with
there
that.
is a couple weird spearheads. Like, I'll be honest, there's a couple just because of what was in the box. Like, the Vanguard boxes that came forward, there's a couple that are just like strange configurations. But like, rules wise, I think most of them are very much, and theme wise, they're very much in flavor, even if they're a little unusual in the model selections, just because of the oddity of what was in the Vanguard box. So, Howard Hooven says, "Is the Spearhead Tactics command deck going to replace Battle Tactics and Match Play?" I hope so, man. They just got to put out. They just have to put out Battle Pack 2, so that way we have enough cards to do all 5 rounds. Shuffle them up.
Well,
good to go.
That was going to be one of my closing questions. Was can we reverse engineer the decks to create 5-turn decks?
I fully believe you could. If you could, right now you only get 12 cards, so we need them to put out like deck 2, and then we're good.
Yeah.
My simple question is that could we just figure out 3 additional cards?
Oh, the 3 additional cards would be, for me, would be just like the way I do it now is I just have 3 of them that say, gain 1 command point. You may use a core rules or a command module command ability.
Battle Tiger. Okay.
Command ability, and it's just you flip the card. It can't be scored. It's just literally a command point.
Interesting.
That would be my other one. So that way you'd still have some minimal, like you'd have 1 in 5 access to the normal command modules rules.
Right.
You heard it here first, folks. There it is. Done.
I got to figure out how to like. I guess I would put the cards into like a magic card sleeve and then make a fake card that's that or something. Like, I don't know. Because you can't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, you need to.
We can have it printed off. Like
sure.
that. Like that is easy. That is just a.
Yeah, randomizing 12 things is different.
Yeah.
We've conquered this beast.
Yes. I'm not sure. Latino, you had asked about the BOC being included. I don't know if they will or not. I doubt it. I don't know if they'll do any of the legend stuff. And do I think they're going to split Oryx? Yeah, I think they'll probably split Oryx is my feeling. But who knows? I don't know.
Brand new mate says, is having the specific names objectives going to be an issue for scaling up to matched play? I don't think so, because the things that this format teaches you about objective holding and moving to them, taking them from your opponent, scoring, that kind of stuff, it's all the same functionally. And so like you're already learning those things. The only thing you would be really relearning is if they introduce some, like, what was the old mission where like the thing would teleport around the board madly?
Relocation orb?
Yes, relocation orb. I don't know why I can remember that one, but like that's a very specific thing where the mission dictates. But I think it teaches you plenty so that there's not a whole lot of disconnect between objectives specifically. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's absolutely teaching you the fundamentals of the game. Like I said, like I fell back on my like let's play the fundamentals of AOS, and it was like, yep, this is how we play, right? Dance has asked, how does the reinforcement mechanic feel? Is the recursion NP? No, it's fine. It was funny because both in my game, both my first game, both myself and my opponent both had reinforcement units, and we would just like we just stayed away from those until we had to engage with them. Like we didn't kill them until we had to, basically, is what it came down to, right? Like those.
See, I put mine out in the front. I was like, go.
Yeah, they were like, you know, the chaff units are like the last thing you want to kill, right? Okay. Would you say that traditionally recursion-based armies are still recursion-based? I mean, sort of. It depends on the thing that's going on there and what the unit composition is. It's more based on the units than anything else.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I know Dave Witek from Garage Hammer had a blast with his Fire Slayers. He did that one.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, I saw a lot of them get played, and it seemed like most people were having a great time. Luke, you're asking. I don't know. I'm not sure about the gloomies and what their basic Rots profile is. I legitimately don't know. I'm sorry. So I don't know all of them off the top of my head like that, unfortunately. Like when it comes down to the individual faction stuff. Let's see. How does Spearhead resolve kits that can be built in two distinct ways? You build what's on the front of the box. That's what it uses.
Yep.
So, like in the case of the Iron Blaster versus the Scrap Launcher, that one I know specifically
picture.
is the Iron Blaster because that's what's on the front of the box.
Yep. Look at the picture.
Yep. Nova, I know, has a Spearhead tournament lined up. Absolutely, Gareth said that. And I know there's a couple others already lined up. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. Oh yeah, and then Scott Reed is working on LVO Spearhead. Yep, absolutely.
Oh, cool. That's rad.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you worried at all about the longevity of Spearhead if you only play one army? I mean, I think that's a case of going deep. It depends on how real into that one army you are. You know, if you're like, I don't know how Haywo does it, as an example. Like, let's just forget Spearhead. Let's just talk about, you know, AOS, right? Like
play AOS, yeah.
AOS, like Haywo has played BCR for like since AOS 1, basically, or whatever he got into it. This has been his army. It's the only army he plays. It's what he does. And I can't imagine. Like, I have a deep and abiding love of Skaven, but man, I play like different armies every week. You know, I rotate through a ton of different armies. I have the luxury of having like 20 painted armies, but still, you know, it's still, I want a varied experience. So I think it's just the kind of person you are more than it is the nature of the individual thing. Like one Spearhead force or one regular army is going to get boring just as fast if you're the type of person who gets bored by the same thing. If you're not, it doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it happening for a while. How about that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Could it?
Yeah, but I also think it's so easy to support that I just don't see it happening.
And they'll be like,
right,
obviously there's already some factions with multiple Spearheads in them, like Stormcast and Skaven and stuff. So, you know, that there'll be different Spearheads.
Yeah. And you got to imagine, even from a support standpoint, them releasing like a Gur Spearhead box, which is a Gur board, Gur twists, and Gur terrain, right? Or Ulgu or whatever. Like that's a low hanging fruit for them.
100%.
For something like this.
Totally agreed.
And that's the kind of stuff I would love to see, like future campaign books to have. Like, I mean, just supplemental support for other stuff, other locations, things like that. Yeah.
Yes. Like 1,000% yes. Corbin said, when I played at Dallas, getting accidentally tagged was super easy, and getting out of combat by removing casualties felt impossible. Was that how you all felt? Yeah, I mean, it is different in that experience. Like, it's a small space. Yeah, you generally have to like be very mindful of like your units and what's getting into combat and what's not. Yep. And so like, you know, sort of individual melee heroes are actually really interesting in what they can accomplish because of their smaller footprint and the fact that they're not going up against giant units. Like, this is a game where foot heroes can actually be quite meaningful. Because they're not going to get run over by, you know, some massive reinforced unit of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, there you go. Nice. Old Town Throwdown will be running Spearhead tournaments. Gareth is he's got his finger on the pulse of all the Spearhead tournaments. I mean, obviously that's his tournament, so I think he knows what's going on there, but still. Okay. Let's see. What else we got? Michael said, I think on accident I have like 12 Spearheads. I mean, yeah, exactly. For every army I have all the Spearheads already. Yes, 100%. You know the only one I'm missing, Tom, out of my existing armies? I kind of went through and looked. You know the only one I don't have from my existing armies?
OBR.
No, I don't have OBR as an army. Like, I said from my existing armies. I don't have OBR.
Oh, I thought you were saying which Spearhead do you not have?
No.
Okay.
No.
From your existing armies, you have ogres, you have Seraphon.
Yep.
You may not have Blades of Corn because of all of the Blood Warriors.
No, I have a lot of Blood Warriors actually.
Okay.
I painted a ton of Blood Warriors. I actually thought they were pretty fun. No, Doc, because I don't have Doomfire Warlocks. Because why would I have
Funny
Doomfire
story.
Warlocks?
Funny story. I have Doomfire Warlock conversions that I painted up to a super high standard and then never took to an event.
That's awesome.
There you go. Okay. Yes, Soothsayer, I think they did. They did solve the problem. Okay, let's see.
The Sons of Behemoth is going to be the 3 babies.
Yeah.
Is their like they've already said that is going to be their Vanguard box.
Yep. Just 3 babies, rocking and rolling.
Yep.
Ready to donk some heads and shove people in pants.
I just did a count as we were sitting here. I have 4.5 spearheads that I still need.
Okay.
You still need, or you have?
That he needs.
That I need. Yes.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, Tom. It's not bad.
Man.
You can run a whole tournament yourself.
Yeah. Well, actually, so like one of the things that I'm intending actually is running a local Sunday Spearhead for new players, and one of the things that I want to be able to do is bring out a bunch of armies. It seems like a Spearhead army in general fits on a 4x8 inch like tray. Like when I know this because of how I've been like fitting these into my bookcases. Like almost all of them fit on a 4x8 foot, like 8-inch tray. And so I think I'm gonna use make these trays for each one, not only for my cases, but then also not only for the cabinets, but also for cases to transport to the club, so that like new players could rock up and be like, hey, that army looks interesting, cool. Let's put it on the table. Let's get you played.
Yeah, totally. And it's like a nice simple printout, right? To have the cards or the printed out things,
all the
PDF
rules,
or whatever.
all
it's
right
easy.
there. Yep.
Easy.
Yep.
Let's see. Boop boop boop. Sleepy Dog said, "Is Spearhead replacing Warcry, or is it separate different?" It's separate different. It's not that. Yeah, as far as I know,
Those different.
As far as I know, Warcry will still be around. I don't know anything about it, but they have said no official things about killing Warcry or anything yet. They killed out a bunch of Warcry units, but that's who knows. Okay. Where are we at here? Goodness sakes, so many questions. All right.
Yeah,
would you rather play a game of Spearhead or a game of classic BattleTech? Oh boy, what a question, Tom Walsh. Spearhead, but because the way I like to play BattleTech was never classic BattleTech. Like I had very specific ways I like to play BattleTech. I always preferred one-on-one arena on Solaris 7, not lance on lance or lance on star combat, but mech v mech one-on-one Solaris 7 rules. That
you don't want the full Excel spreadsheet, the war game experience.
No, I love the Excel spreadsheet, the war game experience. I just love it for one mech, not for 4 mechs. There's a difference. I like having one special boy. That's to
fair.
me, that was the biggest problem with where BattleTech went wrong. Too many mechs. One-on-one. Mono a mono. Okay. Could you see GW expanding Spearhead to make it a multiplayer format? I hope so. Absolutely.
Man, I hope so. Man, I hope so. I was thinking about this the other day. Yeah.
There's just no reason, right? There's just no
Other
reason
than
you
board
couldn't
size.
multiplayer that out. No, I mean you just add a second board, and then that's it. Like it would be so easy. Like if you had 3 to 4 players, you just do 2 boards, and it would still be the right size.
I think it takes to the Triumph and Treachery style of play that they already did really well. As far as start the phase, pick a person. That's all you can do against that person. I don't know. I like that idea.
Yeah. What parts of full AOS do you feel Spearhead improved on? Well, I mean, it's a different experience to some degree. Like but the simple answer there is spellcasting and battle tactics, the things I already mentioned. I like being able to
1 hour
do
games.
my thing, and then the game only taking an hour. Yeah, realistically, like an hour to an hour and a half versus 3 hours is a pretty big difference, right? So, boo boo boo. Yeah, I mean, William, I get it, talking about the so many models on the small board. I like I said, it felt good to me. I actually enjoyed it. It meant the action was fast, furious, pretty frequent. Like units were always able to do things, to get to places, to be where they wanted to be. You weren't just like spending turns going like dirt, 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 and kind of dirtling around the board. Your stuff was doing things every round. Your units all mattered. But again, your mileage may vary. Inquisitor SZ, does it work with 2 cards per turn instead of 3? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. I've never tried it, so I couldn't tell. Surely Matt Rose is noticing how much more excited people are about Spearhead battle tactics versus regular AOS battle tactics. One can only hope. One can only hope. There you go. Is having specific named objectives going to be an issue for scaling up to match play? No, I don't think so. I mean, like the normal objectives just don't have names once you go in there, but then you're playing on a table without labeled objectives. I don't think it's complicated.
No.
Somebody had asked about community stuff. Yeah, I hope to see a ton of community stuff, honestly. Like, I hope the community embraces this and just runs wild with it.
Yep. And I'm excited to see people's attempts at making their own Spearhead forces, combinations and stuff.
Yeah. Average Joe, how will Timmy, Johnny, and Spikes feel about Spearhead? I think it'll be much the same. I think it'd be depending on their individual forces. I think Johnny's probably the most left out in the cold because they're sort of the least kind of like traditional list building stuff, which is where in AOS Johnny usually expressed himself the most.
That makes sense.
You're just gonna be tricksy now with the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter Reed, how does the RNG feel in Spearhead versus AOS? Is it more prominent? I mean, a little bit. Like the actual RNG itself, as far as the dice goes, no. I mean, it's just basically most units have like the same attack profiles and stuff. It's really just a question of like there's this additional randomness of the battle tactics and the twist. So there is certainly more randomness to it. But the game feels very even just because of the nature of board control and scoring and how it tends to work out. So
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Yes, there's a Gloomspite one. CW Kreiner said only a single mech. I preferred classic company on company weekend binges. Yeah, very, very different experiences there, CW. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Look, we can't let this, folks, we can't let this devolve into a BattleTech show, okay? Like, if we go down that road, it's never going to stop. We're going to just spend the rest of the time talking about why the Star League era Black Knight is the best mech that was ever designed and ever will be. It's the pinnacle of mech design. Beautiful in both aesthetic and effectiveness on the battlefield. The perfect system for, like, the perfect sort of expression of heat management and hitting power, but also with the right amount of movement and defensive capabilities. It's just like, it's 75 tons of pure perfection. Yeah, BLK 6, baby. Like, let's go. Okay. What physical components do you need to play, and which can you use as soft copies? You have to have the board.
Yep.
For real.
Yep.
And then you got to have the
objective
minis for
cards.
real.
So could you play on a normal Warcry board, but put like
just set up the objectives accordingly.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the objectives are in a set position. So if you already have a Warcry board, you could just set up the objectives as per where they are on the board.
The real question is going to be
show you cards. That. So yeah, the cards would be really tough not to have, is my honest answer, because of the way you're like physically drawing them and stuff like that. I mean, I suppose you could just like have them all up on a file and roll randomly or something, and then X them out. Like, there's probably some.
I'm sure Goonhammer will have some app that lets you draw 3.
But like, I think in general having the physical cards would probably be better.
Yeah.
But
you know what would be great? Is if they had a tab in the new app, Spearhead tab that lets you like
Oh yeah.
draw digital cards, like to do
Yeah,
all of
exactly.
it in the app.
If it's appified, then instantly you're fine, right? With like, you know, if you're MTG Arena where you can actually like draw cards and have them come in and discard and stuff like that, then yeah, you're great. Okay. Does it feel like there's enough room for skill expression in the game? Yes. Yes, 1,000%. I mean, that was my whole story, right? Like, I lost my good hammer units that, like, I thought were going to give me the big advantage and had to, like, just play the fundamentals. And, like, that was pure skill expression, and it's what kept me in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just making the right moves at the right time, tagging, you know, getting the right things to get here, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, 100%. Oh, there you go. Yeah, pull the names of the cards out of a hat. Sure. As long as you got, yeah, there you go. That'll work. Just write down the names and then put them in a little bag. Yeah, and then pull them out. And just have like the reference file up. Okay, cool. There you go. Yep, you're right, Branu. That would work. But yes, I mean, I'm sure you could just print the cards and sleeve them. There's like, folks, there's like a million magic card makers online. I use them all the time. Like, I have made battle tactic decks for every edition of AOS that I put in magic card sleeves and then use them for my battle tactics. I will probably do it again for this edition. So like, you know, you can just like make magic cards. It's not hard. And then you just put that text in there. Okay.
Yeah, no. Not hard at all.
No, absolutely. I mean, but that and the models, right? Or the physical things you need. I think beyond that, it's, you know, you certainly don't need the like War Scroll faction pack cards. Definitely not. That's just your iPad or a phone or anything like that is fine for that. You just have pictures of those. You don't even need the official thing, the official PDF. Because they're not complicated. They're very readable. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's most of the questions. All right, folks. If anybody has any more questions, drop them in. But yeah, I mean, let's do some kind of closing thoughts here. We've been going for a little while.
Yeah.
Doug, I mean, you said for you right now, Spearhead's like your main point of interest, right? Like that's actually what you're excited about for 4th, yeah?
Yes, very much so.
So is like the FEC Spearhead going to be your main thrust to start? Like, what are you looking at? What's got your attention for that?
So what's got my attention is with the games that I was able to play, I want to start building, like I'm excited to start building my foundation of knowledge of like, how does this faction play?
Yeah.
You know, if I were to play Flesh Eater Courts today, for example, even though I'm not really playing much 3rd, you know, you get used to things on the board as far as like positioning where your heroes need to be to inflict damage, but be able to do their, noble deed points thing, that kind of stuff. Like it's those little lessons that you only learn by playing a bunch of times. And I feel like by mastering that at the Spearhead level, when I go to play a 2K game, like that's an army specific thing that I have to get used to, and it's not going away. So like I love the entry point of foundational learning, and I'm just really excited to like build on the kind of lessons I already learned from the little brief times that I got to play.
Yep. Tom, well, you've got, obviously you just said you're only 4.5 Spearhead short, and you're running Spearhead events, so clearly you're in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in, but a big part of that is because of my kids, right? Because like it is something that's way easier to latch onto for like 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, right? Like this is something that they can just run with. So it's something that naturally I'm going to lean into, but it's not going to stop me from playing competitively, right? Like it's not like this is fully going to replace that, but it's certainly going to be certainly going to be something I'm going to be playing on a weekly basis with my kids, right? Yeah. That if we can sit down, pull an army off the shelf, put out a board, and in an hour play a game, like that's a no-brainer for us.
Yep.
So
agreed on all fronts. Tori said predictions on if they will add more boards in the future. I think the answer is definitely yes. Like no doubt in my mind about that. Like, do you think these release boxes they do for Abraxia or the Dark Oath box, or the Corn box, will turn into Spearheads? Probably not. I think it has to be big enough. It's kind of got to be a right size thing. I think basically when they do an army, whenever we get an army book, they'll probably release a new Spearhead of some kind with it that's somewhat inclusive of new models and stuff like that. I think that's how
I'd love that.
It'll happen. And so like this just opens up a chance for them to sort of remake models, have different stuff there and available, that kind of thing, as well as frankly cynically move old units of stuff they got sitting around the warehouse because like, oh, we've got too many boxes of these liberators or whatever, shove them in the Spearhead or whatnot. So
Yeah.
So okay, well, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, that's Spearhead. It's super cool. I hope people get into it and check it out. I had a lot of fun with it. We all, are pretty excited for it. If you got questions that we didn't answer, drop them down in the comments. Hit us up. Happy to answer anything that I'm allowed to answer. And hit like if you haven't yet. Hit subscribe. Do all the things that make dings. You'll get at least some percentage cooler. Offer not guaranteed.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, I think you'll be cooler. I think you're cool. Doug, thank you so much, buddy. It was great to have you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
If you're not already subbed to Doug over on 2 Plus Tough, what are you doing with your life? You've made a wrong decision. Doug's channel will be linked down below. Go give him a sub. All of his stuff is absolutely exceptional. If you're looking for the inside track on what's going on in the Mortal Realms, the lore, and lots of other fun games, then go follow Doug. But if you want to support this show, hey, don't forget Uncle Adam and I's new game. 2 days away, folks. 2 days away. Here's your spoiler. Your end of show spoiler. I didn't mention it was going to happen. I teased you. Tricked you. Here it is. Today's word, your last word before the official game release. Today's word is layer. Layer. How is that spelled? I don't know.
Not layer.
No. Spelled. I'm just going to say it, Tom. We're going to leave it out there.
Layer.
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 Frog protection. Fraud protection. We're saying the same
Layer.
thing. Okay. So at any rate, check it out.
I'm thinking like a tiered cake.
I don't know. We'll see. So at any rate, but you only have 2 more days. Gen S, isn't that the question? I guess that's for you to figure out. But you only have 2 more days until you'll know all the answers. So follow on Twitter, follow on Instagram, all of that stuff. Follow this channel. Beyond that, you can also support the show by picking up your new hobby stuff through the affiliate links down below. There's Amazon links, there's Monument Hobbies, Element Games, all that fun stuff. Nothing costs you any extra. In fact, it often saves you money. You can also, of course, join up the Patreon, focus on review and feedback, and taking your next step on your hobby journey. You can hit our merch store. Get yourself a Team Tom shirt. That's what you want. Get Tom there on your so you can wear Tom proudly on your chest. Everybody else will think you're pretty awesome. And hey, as always, we thank you so much for watching. And I just realized that I didn't have my stream thing up, so this is going to be odd.